We welcome you to Peoria, Arizona. It's Cactus League Baseball. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks visiting the San Diego Padres. Welcome onto the field, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo, joined today by Mark Sweeney. Welcome to Padres Baseball. Well, as we mentioned in our first telecast, there are some jobs available here for the San Diego Padres this year. There are 7 catchers in camp. Austin Hedges appears to be the lead guy out of the gate, but there are other guys, including a Rule 5 guy, trying to vie for that spot.
Yeah, you think about the important positions for the San Diego Padres and how they have to shore it up. It all happens with these guys. Austin Hedges has been handed the keys to the Cadillac when it comes down to it. They believe he is going to be that leader, the budding star. Obviously, offensively, he has things to improve. We're going to see Hector Sanchez today. He has 2 championships on his resume from the San Francisco Giants, which is very important when it comes down to it. And also, Tony Cruz is a much-needed add because he is a mentor. He learned in the St. Louis Cardinals organization, and this is very important because Andy Green understands this position has to be shored up because those arms and how you pitch is very influential when it comes down to catching.
Well, the Padres today will have Will Myers in their starting lineup. You talked about stars, the All-Star from a year ago, ready to get after it. We'll talk Will Myers. We come back right after this. Baseball brought to you by Petco, where the healthy pets go. And by Schimpf Casino, play, win together in the heart of San Diego. A beautiful day here in Peoria as we get ready for Cactus League Baseball. But first, we set it down. Third member of our broadcast team, Bob Scanlon. Bob?
Hey, thanks, Don. You know, at first glance, nothing that unusual about Andy Green's lineup today. A nice mix of veterans and young guys trying to make an impression. But then when you step back and you realize, hey, wait, the Padres played a night game last night. Normally, guys don't start in a night game and then the next day in a day game. But that's not the case today. Will Myers, the face of the franchise, started last night. He's in there tonight. And what's even more unusual, this is actually his 4th start in a row for the Padres. Hey, one of the prerequisites to be able to do that, you better have a young body, and he does at age 26. But then that begs the question, are you ready to hand over the leadership reins to a player that young? Well, when you take a look at what he's accomplished already, the Rookie of the Year award in 2013, last year, All-Star representative. He led the team in games played, home runs, RBIs. He's already building a nice resume of accomplishments on the field. The bottom line is this, he's not just talking the talk, he is walking the walk, and it's going to be fun to watch Will Myers this year develop both as a leader on the field and to continue his ascent as a player on the field as well. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, it's going to be first pitch of today's ball game between the Padres and the Diamondbacks right here on Fox Sports San Diego.
Complex as the Padres and Diamondbacks ready to play here today. Let's check out the visiting Arizona Diamondbacks starting 9. Well, A.J. Pollock is back, and that's certainly good news for the Diamondbacks. David Peralta in right field. Brandon Drury at second base. Yasmani Tomas in left. Daniel Descalso is at third base with Ketel Marte, the DH. Chris Herman at first. Nick Ahmed at short. And Chris Iannetta doing the catching. And the first pitch of the ball game from Jared Cosart is in there for a strike, and we are underway. A.J. Pollock coming back. Of course, the tragic injury that occurred prior to the season last year that really kind of ruined what was a huge year, at least expectation-wise, for the Arizona Diamondbacks heading into the year. And he was a big part of what turned out to be a very disappointing year for the Diamondbacks.
Well, Don, I got to agree with you wholeheartedly. A.J. Pollock, even though a lot of people talk about Paul Goldschmidt as their piece, A.J. Pollock, with the year he had previously to that elbow injury, they were expecting big things and even better things. And that was a devastating injury to start the season 3 days before they started last year.
Now Pollock, Peralta, and Drury to bat here in the inning against Jared Cosart.
I think the big thing for him is going back to Pollock is he came back after that devastating injury. August 26th, that's late in the season, but you see the numbers. They dip down, and you're wondering if he is going to get back to that level of 2015. You see the 20 home runs, 76 RBIs. He was a difference maker in that lineup, both offensively and defensively.
Now, important for him to get back, too, I would imagine, from a mental standpoint, to get some games in last year.
Yeah, it was very important. And I think when the way the Diamondback season went last year, just seeing his health and having a normal offseason and then working on that mentally. But this is a very talented player.
Now, Cosart had been ahead 0-2. One sent foul down the right field line. Were you surprised by the Arizona Diamondbacks' inability last year really to win on a regular basis?
Yeah, because obviously you have to deal with the injuries. I think every team does that. But this is a talented roster. And I think the pitching went south. Obviously, the starting pitching, Shelby Miller, had his issues. So there were a lot of issues that they had to deal with, hence the 69-93 record. That is not good enough. This is a good bounce-back club when you think about it.
In a year where you add Zach Greinke and you think you've got maybe the final piece to get you in a good spot. It did not work out that way, to the point where you have Dave Stewart no longer with the club. You now have Mike Hazen as the general manager. President of Baseball Operations, Torey Lovello, now the manager. Chip Hale no longer here, and Ron Gardenhire here as his bench coach, and pretty much a full turnover here as it turns out. Down to first base, working a walk there is Pollock, and we'll check out the Padres defensively today behind Jared Cosart. Left to right in the outfield, it is Eric Ibar in left, Travis Janowski in center. Colin Cowgill around in right with Ryan Schimpf at third base. Eric Ibar at short. Carlos Asuaje is at second base. Brett Wallace at first. And Hector Sanchez doing the catching. Shifting on the right side are the Padres, and swing and a miss for Peralta. And looking at the infield right here, the first shift we have seen really of the spring for Andy Green, who did not shift in the first couple of games.
Yeah, it's interesting, and now defensively asking them to start moving, start understanding the game, what they're going to try to do. It's not necessarily game planning, it's just putting themselves in position to make those different throws when you are shifting.
And also today we're seeing Ryan Schimpf play at third base, where last year predominantly a second baseman. Of course, we know what he did offensively with 20 home runs. And see Eric Ibar, the only member of the Padres on the left side of the infield right now in this shift alignment. 1-1 to Peralta, but first to check at first, and Pollock back to the bag at first.
Don, saw Ryan Schimpf a little bit at the end of the year at third base. It looked like he was more comfortable there. Obviously, you have to have play time, and going from the right side of the diamond to the left and making longer throws, that's a difficult thing. But he looked comfortable there, and you're probably going to see more of that because Solarte is going to be with the WBC, and he's going to be away. You'll probably see Ryan Schimpf play a little bit more at third base, get comfortable, and obviously when you have shifts, Andy Green had a lot of that. The third baseman was over on that right side and keeping that shortstop, which is Eric Ibar today, over on that left.
Could you imagine a scenario where Solarte may not be the starting third baseman, maybe move over somewhere else in the infield?
Well, Andy Green likes versatility, and that's what the infield gives.
Well, strikeout number one on the day for Jared Cosart as he's able to strike out Peralta for the game's first out. Cosart last year between Miami and San Diego, 13 total starts a season ago for the right-hander. First strikeout on the day.
Talking to Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, about Cosart, it's not going to be a lengthy outing for him today. This is his first appearance, but there's no hesitation. And he'd like to see him finish those pitches, especially with the fastball command. You're going to hear that constantly. That's what they want to get control of when it comes down to spring training.
And so hard, especially this early in spring training. Padres at double play depth, and a grounder softly hit foul outside of first. A lot of starting possibilities for the Padres as you head to camp with a number of starters vying for the five-man rotation.
Well, that's a good thing too. When you think about eating innings and you're going to have experience, and you bring in a Weaver from the Anaheim Angels and come in and establish that presence. It's been a #1 pitcher. How much influence he's going to have on the younger pitchers in this camp. But a lot of opportunities.
Throw over again, keeping a close eye on Pollock. Cosart, 26 years of age. Cosart starting the year last year with the Marlins, was optioned out at the end of April after 3 starts. Snap throw to first, and Pollock is out at first base. Nice job by Hector Sanchez, who came up firing, and they nabbed Pollock at first base.
A perfect pitch to throw, and we talked about the catching on our open. Very important, and you're going to see a lot of these opportunities for the backup catcher, because it seems like Austin Hedges has the keys to that primary position, but who is going to back up? Are they going to go with 3 catchers when it comes down to it? But excellent throw by Sanchez.
As you mentioned, no doubt Austin Hedges, his job finally, and we'll be hopefully talking with Austin Hedges during the game today as the 1-1 pitch in there for strike 2. You look at the way last year ended and the players that we got to see after winning a championship in El Paso. It was a lot of fun the last couple of weeks of last season.
Yeah, brought different energy. Obviously, the Hunter Renfroe home run on the Western Metal Building was one of those moments, but Manny Margot showed well. I think Carlos Aswai got his, his feet wet. It's not enough time, but that's a really good finish to the inning.
Well, back-to-back Ks for Cosart. A nice first inning. Padres are coming up. Bottom of the first inning as Travis Janowski is going to lead it off here for the Padres. We check out their starting 9 today, and Janowski is in center field. Carlos Aswai at second base, bats second, with Will Myers, the DH. Ryan Schimpf, as you mentioned, getting the start at third base, with Brett Wallace starting at the other corner at first base. Colin Cowgill in right field. Hector Sanchez at shortstop. And I should say Hector shortstop. I'll do that again. He's the catcher, with Ibar at shortstop and Perella in left field. The starting 9 today for the Padres. It's better the second time.
I love the second time.
So much better. Hector Sanchez has not played shortstop, I'm pretty sure, in his career.
Well, he has slimmed down, which is very visible coming into camp. But shortstop,
that's some first base, but I think shortstop is a stretch.
It's a tough ask.
Yes. Well, this guy's got good speed. Travis Janowski. And a couple home runs for him last year, and already the spring has one. Almost got his second the other day, high off the wall.
Well, I think this is one of the things, if we look at how you're going to mature as a hitter, it's Travis Janowski against left-handers. If he is going to be that everyday guy, you're going to have to handle these left-handers, especially up in the strike zone. And a tendency for Janowski, when you watch him, is to try to serve it to left field against left-handers. I think Alan Zinter would like to see him look middle in and try to pull some of those pitches you're supposed to.
Swing and a miss as Patrick Corbin on the hill today for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Coming off Tommy John just a couple of years ago, and last year 5-13. In and out of the rotation as well. 36 total appearances, 24 starts, and an ERA up over 5. We're talking about Janowski. How hard is it to make those adjustments now you're coming back here into really your second full season?
Yeah, you got to trust your work ethic that's happening down here in spring training, what you do in the cages, batting practice, and then perform it during the game.
Swing and a miss, and strikes out here. So Corbin gets him for the first out of the bottom of the first inning. Let's check out the Diamondbacks defensively today. Left to right in the outfield. Yasmani Tomas, A.J. Pollock in center. You have David Peralta in right field with Daniel Descalso at third base. Nick Ahmed is at shortstop with Brandon Drury at second, Chris Herman at first, and Chris Iannetta doing the catching. In there for strike one to Carlos Asuaje. Getting the start at second base. Hit a .321 last year in El Paso. In 7 games with the Padres at the end of last season. Didn't like that strike call.
Well, he's good in the strike zone. I think that's a prerequisite if you're going to have a consistent approach. And a little small sample size we saw with Carlos Asuaje last year is that he's fearless in the batter's box, and that's a good trait.
Some tough numbers for some of the starters last year for the Diamondbacks. You mentioned Corbin at 5 and 13. Skied down the left field line. Yasmani Tomas towards the line to make the catch in fair ground and then run into foul ground for the second out of the inning.
Well, Don, you touched on Patrick Corbin and what to expect out of them. And you think about it, right before the Tommy John surgery, it was the last start in spring training. He was supposed to start opening day 2014. He has Tommy John, comes back after a full year. And this is the second full year for the Diamondbacks, but he is slotted as the number 5 guy in the rotation if he makes it as a starter, and that's a really good luxury for the Diamondbacks.
Didn't have a lot of help behind him defensively last year. Ended up leading the majors with 20 unearned runs. Second highest total in franchise history, only behind Brandon Webb's 28.
Yeah.
2003. So defense did not help him out much last year. Myers to right field with authority. Back towards the bullpen. Peralta going back and over. And little one hop the wall. Myers scampers for second base and has a stand-up 2-out double. And just taking it the other way is Will Myers that time.
Well, Bob Scanlon talked about it earlier, and he said the night game last night, surprising Will Myers is in there at the DH position in spring training. That's a luxury to have because you get at bats, but what a pretty swing off that right field wall bouncing off.
First full season last year as far as injury-free for Myers, who played in a total of 157 games a year ago for the Padres. Ryan Schimpf in the cleanup spot today. And he'll take strike one. One of the pleasant surprises of last year. Not a lot of highlights last year, but he certainly was one of them.
Well, the power translated from AAA, where he had 15 home runs, and then he comes up and hits 20 at the big league level. It's pretty good.
Having a chance to play, of course, last year, Corey Spangenberg spending really the bulk of the year on the DL. Only 14 games for Spangenberg.
Well, when you have that full year off, and it is a full year because mentally it's very hard to get back again and get into the swing of things. But also in the minor leagues, you have opportunities that guys are stepping up. Ryan Schimpf deserves that opportunity because of what he showed in the big leagues last year.
Myers at second with 2 down. As Schimpf will take a look at a ball. It's 1-2. Just a beautiful day here today in Peoria, Arizona, and the berm in left center and right center is as crowded as I have seen it this spring so far.
They must have heard we were doing the game and they wanted to see it firsthand.
That's a beautiful day to grab a blanket and be out there today here at the Peoria Sports Complex. Just missing, and it's 2-2 to Schimpf.
Oh, I like the new scoreboard. Nice
Beautiful,
addition,
isn't it?
Huge. Nice addition. So I got to be honest, a couple years ago, it was very difficult to see who was even playing on the scoreboard out there.
Now you have their picture. You've got the entire lineup, which I like on the left side, especially when you get later into the game and the changes are coming fast and furious. Into the shift on the liner off the bat of Schimpf. Ends the inning. Myers left at second. We have no score through 1.
If there's one thing we love, it's watching.
ready for the second inning, but first we send it down to field level and Bob Scanlon.
Hey, thanks, Don. I'm here with the starting pitcher, Jared Cosart. Jared, a short outing for you, but hey, the first game of spring is always important. Even more important for you this year coming off the elbow surgery?
Yeah, it's just exciting to be back out there. Kind of a loss of words, baseball's back. Just waiting for 2 weeks for my turn, and like I said, short, you want to go back out there. I'm used to being a starter my whole career, so the one inning thing's weird, but just being able to focus on some of the stuff I've been working on and go out there and just have a semi-clean inning was good. It was fun.
Now, you had a 5-centimeter long bone spur removed from your elbow last season, and looking back, was that affecting you a lot more than maybe even you think, and how does it feel now to cut the ball loose?
I think as a pitcher, as a player, you don't want to ever be in the training room, be complaining about stuff. There was times it was bothering me more than others. It's probably something I could have said something about, but I tried to battle through it, and it got to that point of no return, and I'm just thankful it wasn't anything more severe, and it was just a quick clean out, and just being able to have the extension that I felt like I had a couple years ago today and my bullpens and everything, it's a breath of fresh air. So.
The fastball looked good today, but I thought even more impressive was the off-speed. A couple of punch-outs with the off-speed. Usually that's the last thing to come, but it looks like you have a good feel for it already.
It's something I worked on a lot this offseason, tinkered a little mechanics. I talked to Balls and Bach. It's just something I have to do. No matter how good your stuff is here, you can't live with one pitch, really two as a starter. So it's just about honing in and trying to become a finished product. It's easier said than done because I think Clayton Kershaw and those guys don't feel like they're complete yet either. So,
it's interesting. You're over the elbow issue, obviously, but another strange thing that you had going on were the blisters. Any resolution of that? I know you're working in the rice bucket. Anything else you could do to keep the skin from ripping up this year?
Rice bucket and alcohol, actually, rubbing alcohol on your fingernails is something that I read about. So. Nothing yet. I think the
Farmer's Almanac?
Yeah, right. I think the dry climate out here might be helping a little bit, but I've had no signs, knock on wood. Hopefully, those are the worst. Not that you'd rather be severely hurt, but missing 2 weeks because of a hole in your finger is not that fun.
No doubt. Hey, big loss for Major League Baseball last year with the tragic loss of Jose Fernandez. It affected everybody, but obviously you as a former teammate, you were very close to him. Anything that you can take away from how he lived his life or how he handled himself on the field that you're taking with yourself to the ballpark, onto the mound on a daily basis? Just
how special the game is, how things could be a lot worse. I put a little 16 on the back of the mound before I started. Every game you go out there, you try and dedicate to him the fire, the energy, the passion, everything brought to the game and to life every day. So
great way to honor him.
Not to take for granted.
Great way to honor him. Jared, thanks for the time. Great to see you back out there.
Appreciate it.
Jared Cosart back on the mound, guys, and he's healthy. Back to you.
All right, Bob, thanks very much. A little check swing here. Bloop down the left field line. Perella coming behind it, played on a few hops. One out single for Daniel Descalso, former St. Louis Cardinal.
Well, pretty interesting that Jared Cosart mentioned Jose Fernandez, which I think Major League Baseball is devastated of that loss. But when it comes down to it, it's a different purpose, and it sets your vision and your thought process in the right direction. You always have to have a purpose that's not in a selfish mind, and some of those things can help. It can be motivated, but last year, going back to it, dealing with injuries, dealing with that, very difficult to go through that mentally and bringing it to the ballpark and how you're going to deal with it. But Jared Cosart obviously is in a better mindset this year coming in, and obviously he's healthy, which is very, very key.
And that's the thing, too, having that first outing out of the way, as you mentioned, being here for 2 weeks and not pitching, and then you come in and you only go the one inning, but still all that time thinking, probably too much downtime for him.
Yeah, too much downtime and thoughts. And when you lose a friend like Jose Fernandez, you have to get your life back. You have to have priorities when it comes down to it. But I love what he said, and talking with that. Last year there was a little indecision. You could tell that he wasn't confident with all of the things that were going through for obvious reasons. These guys are human beings. They go out there and they try to perform every day on a big stage, but there's also external factors that come into play as well.
Descalso at first base, one down in the inning. Ketel Marte batting here with a count of 1-1. Seeing Tyrell Jenkins here in the second inning. Cosart making his first appearance, going just the 1 inning, and that is pretty much the way Andy Green has done it. 1 or 2 innings, maybe 40 pitches in your first outing. Of course, you have the extra time in spring training this year with the WBC and spring training being longer. To really stretch out the pitching. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think when Andy said something this morning in his press conference, he said there's not a priority to push these guys, because in a normal spring training would be in the third game.
Right.
And there's plenty of time. You're seeing a lot of these teams that are pushing guys, and maybe it's for the WBC and getting certain guys ready, but there's a lot of time left. You got to be careful of that, because understanding how long the regular season is with 162 games, pushing these guys to a point is very difficult. I love the fact that he's reeling it back in. In his second year as a manager with Andy Green, he knows the priority of getting these guys right and taking the time. And that's the presence that you have as a manager you can put your footprint on.
He's asked today about Alex Dickerson, of course, who's been bothered by a sore lower back. And is there enough time for him to have as many at-bats? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's tons of time left. Runner goes, and the pitch is inside. So that's ball 4, and Marte will head down to first base.
Well, Don, typically hitters will say 30 to 40 at-bats. I think if you're a position player that is looking for that everyday position, you want 40, 50, because you want more opportunities. You want to showcase yourself here in spring training. There's a lot of competition in this Padres camp.
Now, there are some jobs open. A lot of times you go to camp and there are not that many jobs to be had. Here, you can open some eyes, if not for the beginning of the year, but sometime thereafter. As we saw last year, all the moving parts on the roster for the Padres, and a lot of those guys coming up.
I think a lot of fans wonder what the mentality is of every individual player. If you think of it, if you're an established veteran, you come and show yourself and work on the things that you know is going to get you ready for opening day. I was a guy that was a 24th, 25th guy on the roster. So I had to believe that every single day, every opportunity that's out here in spring training was just like the regular season mentally. And that was individually based. You had to put yourself in that position. So every scenario out there is individualized. And it's very difficult, because some people say, well, it's spring training. Guys hit more home runs, bigger fields, the ball flies more.
Not for you.
You didn't worry about that. You had to put out production when it came to making a club.
That had to be very stressful going into spring training every year, the entire spring.
It was, but you also get used to it. And I loved it, because it was an opportunity where you had to be on point every single day. You had to learn from the veterans that already had a position and what their routine was. But you had to perform. And having to do that every day really set a tone for guys that are those bench players or position players that are looking for that everyday opportunity.
Well, Jenkins running into a little trouble here. Got Tomas to fly out to right. Does Calso with a single to left. Marte walked. And trying to work his way around. Runners at first and second with one away. Chris Herman batting. And that one sails outside to him. Jenkins, 24 years old, from Henderson, Texas. Padres got him off waivers from the Cincinnati Reds. Spent the majority of last year AAA Gwinnett in the Atlanta Braves organization. Made his major league debut with the Braves last year, the 22nd of June. Runners go, throw to third, and that'll get off the glove of Schimpf and into left. And coming home now is Des Calso with the game's first run. And the Diamondbacks take a 1-0 advantage. Schimpf was on the move trying to cover at third base. It did look like the throw may have surprised him from Sanchez on the double steal bid.
Well, being on the move, and Sanchez had to throw to a moving target. And as Ryan Schimpf was running, he was trying to catch the ball and tag the runner on the move. And took his eye off the baseball into left field, scoring a Diamondbacks run.
Well, Darren Balsley headed out there to talk to Jenkins.
Well, you look at Jenkins and the tall frame. What a perfect pitcher's body, but a lot of elements that you have to deal with when it comes down to mechanically getting them right. Darren Balsley talked about mechanically in the Atlanta Braves, they had him trying to get online so much that he started to forget that he was such a good athlete. So the biggest thing about Jenkins is he's a hard worker. He wants to do the right things, obviously in a great position here to get opportunity to be in the big leagues. But you look at the prototype of a pitcher's body, it is absolutely spectacular when you think of it. High socks. I know Mark Grant's loving that.
Oh, yeah. Now 1-0 Diamondbacks on top with one out here in the second inning. Marte at third, Herman at first, and Nick Ahmed now the batter. Swing it away, and he fouls it back and out of play. Well, you're in a situation here for Darren Balsley. A lot of pitching here right now here in spring training. A total of 68 players in camp altogether. And he is working with a number of different guys that he may not see to begin the year, but guys that he'll see throughout the year.
Well, there's Darren, and establishing those relationships is very important here, even if they don't make the major league roster. As you said, a lot of opportunities here will present themselves, but I don't think Darren's going to get much sleep when it comes to spring training here. There's a lot of videotape prep. There's a lot of communication, obviously watching the performances on the field. But that's what makes Darren Balsley the pitching coach he is. He is in depth with every individual pitcher.
"36 total pitchers in camp, 10 of which are left-handers of the 68 players in Major League camp. And there'll be less moving forward here, with some heading to the WBC and, of course, some heading out of camp. But Darren Balsley with a chance to work with all of them. Line to right towards Cowgill, who's coming in to make the catch on the liner. Tagging at third is Marte. Throw is cut off, and the Diamondbacks take a 2-0 lead. Well, line drive to right, solidly hit by Ahmed, will bring in another Arizona run, and it's 2-0 Diamondbacks.
Well, good hitting by Nick Ahmed in an RBI situation, getting it to the outfield. Cowgill in right plays it perfectly, throws it in, but an easy run for the Diamondbacks.
So 2 down in the inning, 2 runs in, and here is Chris Iannetta. With the Mariners last year, now with the Diamondbacks this season. Veteran catcher.
We've seen him in a Rockies uniform. We've also seen him in Anaheim Angels. But it looks right now for the Diamondbacks that they are going to go with a 3-catcher situation. And Jeff Mathis was brought over from the Miami Marlins. As you see, Iannetta catching today. And Chris Herman, who is also in the game, is a backup catcher as well.
We're talking about all the catchers that are here with the Padres. Of course, 7 total catchers. And it will be interesting to see whether they go with 2 or 3 to begin the year for the Padres.
And that's important, how you construct a roster. Hector Sanchez gets that opportunity today. He came into camp, as I said, slimmed down, lost 25 to 30 pounds.
We saw him at first base the other day as well. Trying to add to his versatility a little bit.
Well, I think if you have 3 catchers, you're going to have one of those that you're going to ask to do certain things like that. Saw Christian Bethancourt last year playing the outfield. This year he's going to catch and also pitch as well. But that's a storyline that you got to watch for the rest of camp.
That's a 3rd walk allowed by Jenkins in the inning, as Herman will take second base. Andy Green aligning his defense here with runners at first and second and 2 down. And we'll revisit this catching situation right now for the Padres.
Well, a lot of guys, a lot of opportunity. There's experience, which I think we touched on in the open. Hector Sanchez with the 2 World Series championships. Tony Cruz learning from Yadier Molina, who is arguably the best catcher in the game of baseball, but he brings a lot of experience. Talking to Justin Hatcher, the catcher instructor that's on the major league staff, said Tony Cruz is constantly having conversations with younger catchers, younger players. Goes a long way.
A.J. Pollock getting his second at bat of the afternoon. Walked in the first inning, one of 4 walks now allowed by Padres pitching in the game, 3 of which have come in this inning by Terrell Jenkins, and there is action in the pen as Keith Hessler is warming. In the dirt, and it's a ball and a strike. Pollock now 29 years of age, and he resides at Scottsdale, Arizona during the offseason. 9th season in the Diamondbacks organization for Pollock. Of course, prior to the injury last year, an all-star in 2015.
I think you look at the Diamondbacks organization, they pride themselves on their homegrown players and their development system that's already been set in play. You talked about the front office and how many changes there's been. But these players, and it's led by Paul Goldschmidt at the first baseman. He's not here today, but spectacular player. A.J. Pollock has to show his health. These are players that they grow in their system and believe in, and they stay in their system.
And Torey Lovullo in his first year as the manager. Ron Gardenhire on his right will be the bench coach. Pretty good choice, Ron Gardenhire, to come in as your bench coach.
Well, you think about Torey Lovullo getting his first opportunity and looking to your right, and you get Ron Gardenhire with so much experience with the Minnesota Twins and that organization. That's a nice right-hand man.
Pickoff play at second base, and back to the bag safely that time is Herman. YH heating in from second base. Thought they may have had him, but he's able to get back to the bag. 2 runs in for the Diamondbacks. Runners at first and second with 2 down. That's outside for ball 3. And Ron Gardenhire interviewing a few different places before accepting a bench coach role with the Diamondbacks. One of those places was the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, and very well respected throughout the game of baseball. Ron Gardenhire has been successful in that position, now taking a different role. But for the Diamondbacks, they caught a gem.
Fly ball to right, sending Cowgill back towards the warning track and onto the edge to make the catch. That'll end the inning, but not before Arizona comes up with a couple of runs. Diamondbacks leading it 2-0. Arizona, the Diamondbacks have a 2-0 lead over the Padres, and here's what's coming up the next 5 TV games for you as Team Mexico on Tuesday. WBC, they're getting limbered up, ready to go. They'll take on the Padres, and we'll see the Angels, the Brewers, Indians, and Cubs. All games seen right here on Fox Sports San Diego.
You a WBC fan?
I am. I'm not sure about the timing of it, but I mean, I love the concept. I love the tournament. I just don't know when the best time is. I'm not sure this is it.
Yeah, it's a tough ask to have them do it after the season, especially asking guys to extend themselves, and it's based on the pitching side. But I wonder if the perfect time for that too. I love the concept.
Does earlier in the offseason make sense? I mean, you know, I don't know. November? I'm not sure. You tell me as a former player. I mean, I'm sure you're pretty tired at that point.
Well, it's not necessarily physically all the time as well. It's mentally.
Yeah.
Mentally, you're drained and hard to get your grasp on what's going on. The United States have not performed very well in the WBC. They're hoping to do that with Jim Leland running the charge this year for the United States, but I'm excited for it. I love watching it. I love the emotion side of it. Anytime you get extra baseball, that's exciting. But you're right, the timing of it is a little questionable.
And you wonder if it was a different time, if you would have more, maybe higher caliber players participating, if it was not, you know, in conjunction of them training to get ready for the Major League season right now.
Yeah, and you wonder if maybe it's a situation where you ask the college players to do that and perform in that and be part of that for the United States. You're playing teams like Cuba, and teams that have been together for a long time, the Japanese team. These are guys that have been playing for a while, so you wonder if that timing is going to change the play and if they are going to modify that as well.
Would you have wanted to play if WBC was around while you were in?
I would have given anything for that.
Yeah.
You think about putting United States, USA across your chest and just putting a uniform on for that is pretty special when it comes down to it.
Well, it's going to get all started. We are going to see Team Mexico right here. You mentioned there is a tie for the Padres too, or former Padre with Team Mexico. Yeah,
Team Mexico, and Adrian Gonzalez is obviously been at first base for them, but you look at his brother. His brother's managing the club, and you think about what's happened with Team Mexico and the pride that they have. I think that's the greatest thing. You see these Latin teams that are so prideful in taking on. This is our part of our heritage. It's going to be fun to watch.
Brett Wallace for the leadoff walk to begin the inning, and now Colin Cowgill, the batter. Last year mainly at AAA Columbus, 103 games. He's up with Cleveland for 9 games. You can see the numbers with Columbus. Been well traveled over the years. Getting the start in right field today for the Padres. And be interesting to see how the outfield comes together and who ends up where. Heard earlier in the spring that Andy Green was giving some consideration to putting Renfroe perhaps in center and having speed on the corners, maybe in a Margot and a Janowski either in left or right, and so used to seeing Renfroe in right last year.
Well, we know what Travis Janowski can do in center. We saw Manny Margot and his reputation of being a great defender when it comes down to it. I think that's where you're going to have to try to mix and match certain situations. You wonder how they're going to handle the corners. The easiest position, if you can go get them, is center field, but there's a lot of territory that you have to cover. So when you play certain fields, maybe a smaller field might have, you want the corner guy. It's going to be one of those analytic things that Andy Green's going to have to figure out. But again, that versatility that you're getting from these younger players.
Strike 3 call right over the outside corner. Cowgill is frozen. And Corbin picks up his second strikeout, out number 1 here of this second inning.
Well, Patrick Corbin has looked very comfortable today, and it's been the fastball. He has a cutting action to his fastball that rarely plays, but he looks healthy. He looks comfortable with that fastball command, and also we've seen some breaking balls today as well.
1 on, 1 away, and here is Hector Sanchez. Last year between the White Sox and the Padres in 49 games. We were talking about his championship rings, and of course, while he was a member of the San Francisco Giants, he got a nice hand last year when we were in San Francisco as well. They remember.
Oh, they remember, and it's a great fan base up there. Been in that uniform, but Hector Sanchez gives another element of versatility, and it's that switch hitting ability.
Taking it the other way to right, but Peralta makes his way in and takes care of out number 2. So trying to work around a leadoff walk is Patrick Corbin. So far so good as he retires Cowgill and Sanchez, and it brings up Eric Ibar. Interesting guy here in Eric Ibar, and as far as shortstop goes for the Padres, a guy who has seen his offensive numbers the last few years go down, but has been a pretty steady major leaguer.
Well, known for his hands ability. This is an all-star caliber player.
Dribbler down to first, picked up by Herman, who will apply the tag and end the inning. Padres leave a base runner. We're through 2. Diamondbacks on top 2-0. here in Peoria, Arizona, as we play into the third inning. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks, and Austin Hedges joins us. And Austin, how you doing?
I'm doing good, guys.
This year, how different is it for you coming into this spring training and knowing that this job is yours to begin the year? A little difference conference-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something I've been working for my whole career. I mean, it's just an awesome opportunity to get to hopefully play with these guys every day. Like, we got such a good group here. A lot of exciting things moving forward, and hopefully to have that opportunity would be great.
Austin, when you think about it, I think leadership comes out to mind when someone starts describing you. How important is it for you to gain that trust through the pitching staff, and what are some of the things you're trying to do in this camp?
I think for me, it all starts in the clubhouse, off the field. I think if they can trust me, as a person first and foremost, then I think ultimately they can trust, the signs I put down back there. They can trust that I'm going to block for them. I'm going to work as hard as I can for them. I think the best compliment any catcher can get is, like, you can tell the guys that take the runs personally as much as the pitcher does. So, it hurts me when we give up runs, and as long as they know that, then I think that trust factor will really build.
Do you see yourself kind of as an extension of the coaching staff in some ways? It seems like catchers, especially veteran catchers, kind of become that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't really thought of it that way, but in a way, I think, after bullpens, after outings, I like to just give them my input, because obviously, like, I've got the best angle. I'm seeing what their stuff looks like, and I know what I want to see or I don't want to see when I'm hitting. So I kind of take that into account and say, like, hey, this was really working. Maybe this wasn't quite there. Let's work on this the next time. And, a lot of our really good pitchers will take that feedback and work with that.
Your work ethic and your preparation come into play. Is that some of the factors you look for to try to slow the game down? We always hear about that with experience. How are you going to slow the game down?
Yeah, I think the experience is huge. I think, these reps here in spring training, just getting to know everybody, and like you said, just learning to slow the game down. I think challenging myself in my drills. We do a lot of drills we call failure drills, basically drills you're supposed to not do well at. Kind of teaches you, like, obviously in baseball, you're not going to do well every day. So learning to deal with that failure and try and just get a little bit better every day.
I know you probably expected to get more big league time last year, but how great was it to be part of a championship team last year in El Paso?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, we had such a great group of guys, and seeing all of these guys here in camp with me now, and hopefully ready to make an impact in San Diego this year. It was so much fun. I think everybody embraced what we had there, and to go out and get that ring. I saw the ring already. It's huge. It's awesome. So anytime you can bring home a championship is really fun.
Well, it's spectacular to bring that into an organization as well. But now it's starting to look to what you're going to do at the big league level, and offensively, I think you've made some really good adjustments. It looks like you're trying to get a little bit more movement in your approach. Tell us what you're trying to work on.
Yeah, I think last spring, once Zinter got here, we added a leg kick, something that added a little bit more rhythm, kind of a timing mechanism that I'd never even heard of, something new for me. And at first, what it did was put me in a stronger position to hit. I feel like I had more power in the tank, and just being in a stronger position allowed to bring some of that power out. But now I think with that leg kick, trying to be more disciplined, spit on those sliders in the dirt. So kind of now it's taking that leg kick and trying to stay behind the ball as much as I can, so I can let it travel and, swing at my pitch. So not allow those sliders in the dirt.
And watching batting practice yesterday, I thought you did a really good job at going the other way, as we see the Diamondbacks guy going the other way. It's important for you to hit to all fields. It's not just the pull side, which we saw when you first came up. You're a different hitter because of that. You mentioned staying behind the baseball. Is that something you take into your work in the morning in the cages?
Yeah, absolutely. I try not to pull anything in my work. I think if I'm driving the ball to right center, that means I'm staying behind the ball, and that means when I pull the ball, I'm going to pull it the right way with backspin, and that's how I'm going to keep balls fair. Those pitches that are nasty, hard in, I think a lot in the past in my career I've hooked those balls foul, and now I feel like I'm doing a better job at keeping them fair and kind of just staying gap to gap.
We talked about all the guys in camp, total of 68, a ton of pitching here. How hard is it to learn each pitcher and work with all these different guys during the spring?
It is tough. Almost none of these guys, I haven't caught a whole lot of them I mean, bits and pieces last year. I mean, I guess a couple guys from 2015, but it's been fun to kind of get to know the personalities, know the arms, and we have so many young and veteran arms that are out here competing every day. So just being there and being a part of that learning curve for them has been real cool.
Some of that learning curve you can do with help. Obviously, you have the coaching staff, you have other influences throughout the game. I've heard you talk about Yadier Molina before and how great of a catcher he is. Now you have Tony Cruz, who spent time behind him. Have you had conversations with him about what Yadi did and what Tony can lend to you?
I have, and Tony has very, very high praise for Yadi, and I mean the success that he's had in his career, I think, speaks for itself. And I think some of the things that we talk about is just really learning those pitchers, and I mean that's what seems why he's got so much success. The guys trust him back there, and I think it comes just with the work ethic. They say that Yadi's, you know, he's in spring training, he's there at 6 in the morning, getting the catchers together, doing some sort of drills, getting better every day, you know, kind of bringing that group, making the catchers like some sort of core group together. And I think that's really important for us to stick together and ultimately earn the pitcher's trust with our work.
You may not have an answer for this, but thinking about your calling a game and getting used to everybody in the National League and the different guys you're going to see, knowing the hitters, how much work do you have to do before the game to learn these hitters and what you want to do to try to get them out?
A ton, and I think I've learned a little bit over the past couple years on, I think, in-game adjustments, but that film room is huge, and luckily for us, we have, you know, maybe the best in the game in Darren Balsley at creating a scout report against other hitters. So I just try and learn from him, see what he does. I mean, he spends hours and hours and hours preparing a game plan. He knows every hitter inside and out, and so I kind of take what he does and what he's taught me and try and create my own game plan and then compare that to his. And you know, if we're on the same page going into a game, I think we're going to have a really good chance at having a good game plan.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us and continued success this spring.
Thanks, guys.
Austin Hedges joining us here in this Cactus League game as Keith Hessler comes in now for the Padres, and his combined numbers last year between the Diamondbacks and the Padres.
Well, I think it's a fastball command. You see the strikeout and walks. The walks are too high when it comes down to what you're doing. Commanding the strike zone is very important for Keith Hessler.
Terrell Jenkins leaving after an inning in the third, responsible for 2 men on. First and third, and already charged with 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 unearned.
You know, Don, thinking about what is happening with the catching position and what's going to really pan out and how this is going to handle itself, you start hearing the leadership qualities that he has, and the way he presents himself is really appealing when you start thinking about what's going to happen with the Padres and what direction they're going to go. Austin Hedges has the ability to take on a full-time role and be able to be that leader moving forward.
We talked about last year, certainly he anticipated being in the major leagues a lot more, especially based on 2 years ago, how much big league time he had. But it seems like that development year, very important for him last year.
Yeah, it is. And also executing some of the plans. He touched on what Alan Zinter's trying to ask him to do, staying behind the baseball offensively, catching up to his defensive prowess that so many scouts start grading these guys. He wants to be an all-around player. And I think everyone wants to do that, but sometimes you start getting tired of talking about what you can't do, and you're spectacular at catching. I think his offense is going to catch up. He's seen some great things. Already had success in spring training, but he's doing the right things mechanically throughout his work.
There's a ground ball through the right side into right field off the bat of Descalso. That will score Peralta from third. Heading to third is Tomas, and he will be safe as the Diamondbacks pick up another run and take a 3-0 lead. Daniel Descalso with his second hit of the day drives in a run this time.
Well, Descalso 2 for 3 yesterday in his spring training game, so obviously feeling comfortable at the plate. Had a check swing single in his first at bat, but this is a nice one, hitting it through the hole.
First and third again. That run is charged to Jenkins, who walked 4, did not strike anybody out, so walks were really a problem for Jenkins in his outing.
While still working out some of the mechanical issues, and sometimes you think about the mechanical issues instead of just executing your pitches.
Tel Marte, former Mariner, line drive, caught at second base. Wahe tried to turn it into 2, but back safely at first is Des Calso. Able to make the catch, build the cap high, and almost turned it into a double play. I'll bring up Chris Herman. Herman from Montgomery, Texas. Formerly of the Minnesota Twins. First 5 years in the big leagues with the Twins. This would be his second season with Arizona in 56 games last year. Hit at .284. Kessler claimed off waivers from the Diamondbacks May of last year. Recalled by these Diamondbacks on the 25th of April before being designated for assignment the end of April and then going to the Padres. Vying for a spot in the pen. What appears to be a very good bullpen for the Padres this season.
I obviously think that's going to be the strength of this club.
Here's ball 4, and that's walk number 6 given up by Padres pitching today. First by Hessler since coming into the game. Well, there were some guys last year that really surprised people, and Buchter is the top of the list in that regard.
He pops out to you, and there was low expectation coming into the season, but you could see the swing and miss, the awkwardness that a lot of visiting players showed against his stuff, and he was very aggressive with the fastball. It's not necessarily velocity, 92, 93, but it was swing and miss. That was really impressive and had a spectacular season.
Brandon Maurer settling into the closer's role after Fernando Rodney went to the Marlins.
Yeah, and Brandon Maurer looked comfortable at times. There was a little hiccup at the beginning of the season, but when he reined in what he was as a closer, I think he realized that confidence definitely plays in this game. And I think when you look at Buchter and then Maurer and then Brad Hand, the versatility that he brought, those are 3 components that you know that you're going to be a strong bullpen if you have the surrounding cast. Carter Capps is a nice story coming into spring training. If he can come off that injury of the Tommy John and show that electric fastball again, this is going to be a special bullpen.
Grounded towards short as Ibar will go the easy way to second. Close play, but it is a force out that ends the inning. Another run for the Diamondbacks. They lead at 3-0 after 2.5.
What powers the digital
Diamondbacks over the San Diego Padres, bottom of the third. And baseball fans, MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, enjoy almost 300 spring training games and the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Jose Pirela leading it off here for the Padres in the bottom of the third inning with the Diamondbacks on top 3-0. That was really well done, Bob. Really well done.
Thanks.
And you didn't go to analyst camp at all. You didn't need it.
No, I like my family. I like being around the family.
Out to deep right center field. At the bottom of the wall, stuck underneath there, and thinking three is Pirela. Good speed shown there, and a triple for Jose Pirela to begin the inning.
A good start to the inning for Pirela, and he handles that fastball away, elevated in the strike zone so well. Gets that backspin and hits to the base of the wall. An easy triple to the left fielder for the Padres.
So leadoff triple by Pirela, and here is Travis Janowski. Corbin into his third inning in this start. Struck out Janowski in the first inning, so Travis getting his second look at Corbin. 2 hits allowed so far, but both are extra base hits. Myers with a double in the first, and Pirela with the triple in the third. And Hoffman back with the Padres again this year. One of the game's best third base coaches.
Oh, I agree. Very consistent and aggressive.
Strike over the inside corner, and it's 1-2.
Back-to-back breaking balls by Corbin.
Talk about being prepared. As Austin Hedges was talking earlier about Darren Balsley. This guy knows every arm in the league and how his guys run and when to take advantage to be aggressive, as you mentioned.
Yeah, a stressful situation as a third base coach, and when to be aggressive, when to hold back, knowing every situation. A lot of experience in Glenn Hoffman that really translate as a third base coach.
Janowski drives this out to deep right center field, back towards the wall, and that's going to one-hop it. Scoring from third easily is Pirela. Janowski is thinking three. Throw goes in that direction, and Travis will be safe. A triple. Back-to-back triples for the Padres, and they score their first run of the day.
Fast Freddy shoots one in the gap. I thought they had an opportunity to get him at third base, but turns on that second gear and slides head first into third base.
So back-to-back triples, Pirela and Janowski, and the Padres have their first run. Here's Carlos Asuaje. Fouled out down the left field line. Yasmani Tomas made the catch on him in the first inning. And grounded to first base. Herman is going to tag the bag at first, and that's the only play he's going to be able to make. Scoring from third is Janowski. And it's a one-run game, so the Padres collecting a couple of runs here quickly in the inning.
Oh, good read by Janowski. Seeing that ball pulled to the right side, and Herman not typically over there playing first base. Paul Goldschmidt usually is over there. But a nice read and an easy run for the Padres.
And Will Myers coming up for the second time today. Double to right field in the first inning.
They go back to that Janowski triple with 2 strikes. He saw a few breaking balls in that at bat, but the adjustment and 2-strike hitting comes into play, and going against a left-hander. Some of those evaluations that Andy Green is going to have, and what opportunities, what left-handers he's going to give him. Because there's certain left-handers, I believe, Andy Green knows this too, that you want left-handed hitters to go against them. They don't have a changeup to maybe eliminate that changeup away from a left-hander. And it's not always left on left, and it gives you problems. So there's not a lot of Randy Johnsons out there where you have to take all your right-handers out there. I mean, your left-handed hitters out of there and put all right-handed hitters in.
You think about it, Andrew Miller may be one of the only guys that you can make that statement.
What a show he put on.
Unbelievable. What a postseason.
It was incredible postseason. It was awesome to see how managers manipulated their bullpens.
And you had to have a guy like him buy into what they were going to do with him.
Oh,
you're not going to close games. You're going to go maybe 2 or 3 innings. You might be in the 5th inning. We don't know. Just hang with us.
Yeah, and you know that. That's something you can't do in the regular season.
No.
You're going to wear a guy out.
Yeah.
But it was a perfect scenario because Andrew Miller, and you hear the comments about it, he takes the ball. He doesn't care about what opportunity, what inning it is. He wants it shut down, and he dominates.
Close pitch. In there by Iannetta, but it's ball 4. And Myers down to first base.
But I think if you were a sports fan and you got to watch any of those series, that was incredible to watch. The drama of how it finished. But you go back to the game with the Dodgers and the Washington Nationals, and Kenley Jansen, the closer, is throwing 5 innings. And then here comes Kershaw to win that series. So there was all kinds of things in drama when it came down to it, but it all started and finished with the Cubs. Everyone thought the Cubs were going to be that special team. You're wondering if they were going to do it that year. Chapman gives up the home run to Rajai Davis, and here comes a win for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Incredible finish to a great season.
You and I had the chance to do the Padres Cubs series last year in Chicago. Ended up with a day-night doubleheader as part of that as well. We were looking at that team saying, boy, they're going to be tough to beat, and it turned out they were very tough to beat.
Well, Joe Madden had abundance of riches when it comes to that roster, but guys stepping up, a Chris Bryant, watching what they did, and adding a John Lester, and it's a total package, and I think they're built for a long run.
To first base, nicely picked by Herman. He'll go to second for 1. Back to first, not in time. Perhaps off the bag there was Corbin on the return throw. And reaching at first base going to be Schimpf. They do get Myers at second base for the second out of the inning. Nice play by Herman laying it out, first baseman.
Really good turn on the middle of the diamond as well.
So 2 down. Schimpf will be held on at first base by Herman. That brings up Brett Wallace. Wallace, after hitting .302 coming off the bench the year before last. Last year struggled for the Padres. Had a .189 average last year, and was kind of pressed into service at third base quite a bit last year. Hitting starts there on a regular basis at one point for Brett Wallace.
Well, you thought Brett Wallace, with those opportunities at the beginning of the year, was going to help him be a better pinch hitter off the bench. And he struggled at times. The previous year, he put on a show. He was hitting the ball out of the ballpark, but in that role, you want to try to get a base of at-bats early in the season. So these important at-bats in the spring training, leading into the season, if he makes the roster, it's going to be imperative.
Grounds it this time right side into the shift. And from short right, waiting for Herman to cover the bag. He finally does. And they retire Brett Wallace. But the Padres collect 2 runs in the inning. 3-2 Arizona.
The Sanderson way means
San Diego presents Padres Baseball, brought to you by Petco, where the healthy pets go. Beautiful day here in Peoria, Arizona. You see the flags kind of swirling here at Peoria Sports Complex. Diamondbacks had a 3-0 lead. Padres get back with back-to-back triples. Varela and Janowski, and they get within a run. It's now 3-2 Diamondbacks as Arizona comes to bat, and Chris Iannetta leads it off here for the D-backs.
Well, how was your first offseason in San Diego?
Outstanding.
You loved it.
It was tremendous.
Didn't have to worry about shoveling out your car?
No shoveling. I did a lot of fishing at the beach quite a bit during the winter. Terrific. Fabulous.
So fishing, I know you fished with Mark Grant last year on the road. That didn't go very well. How'd the fishing go in the offseason?
It was better during the offseason without Mark Grant.
Did you feel better prepared without Mark Grant
Everything's better without Mark Grant. No, it was wonderful. Really enjoyed it, and love Coronado, where I am living currently, and absolutely love the area. It's great to see a lot of Padres fans during the off season, having a chance to be part of the community, and people really were very nice to me last year, and thank them very much, all of Padres Nation.
And here's the other thing, too. You brought a lot of rain with you. I know a lot of people are going to blame you on this.
Yes, all of a sudden it was raining on a regular basis, but I guess that's a good thing based on the drought stuff.
It is a good thing, and I know what happens in Coronado as well. Navy SEALs train over there.
They do.
Did you do any of that training in the offseason?
No, but I saw them from time to time. It's unbelievable how guilty you feel that you're in that bad a shape.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is a broken bat, soft liner that'll be caught at second base. I'll give you one typical morning. I was headed out towards to get donuts. It was about 15 in the morning on a Saturday, and I was stopped, and all of a sudden these guys are running in full fatigues with weights and a boat. And I'm looking at them like it's unbelievable how hard those guys train, and it's amazing.
It is. It's spectacular to watch them on the beach, and it puts things in perspective when it comes down to it. But
I go to buy donuts.
Yeah. How many bites did you have as you were sitting at the stoplight?
I hadn't purchased them yet, and I almost turned around and went back. I felt so badly. It was out towards left center field, and that ball is going to be off the wall. Perella plays the carom, but it'll be a double. A.J. Pollock swinging the bat here with one down in the fourth inning. David Peralta coming up here. Hessler into his second inning of work.
And you're thinking about the donuts. Let's get back to that. And you went and ended up buying them.
Yes,
What's your favorite donut?
I chocolate frosted is my absolutely favorite.
Really?
Yeah. Like them a lot.
Are you a Krispy Kreme guy?
Absolutely.
Really?
If I get my hands on them, yeah.
Well, I know from the Northeast, too, before. Are you a Dunkin' Donuts fan?
Absolutely.
I had their coffee this morning.
I noticed that.
Oh, big fan.
David Peralta takes the strike. Can we get off the donuts thing? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay.
We already passed that.
Good.
Now I know I need to know information about you.
Yes. Well, you know quite a bit.
Yes, I do. But it is nice. Coronado is absolutely gorgeous. I love it over there. I get over there with my girls with beach volleyball tournaments, and always love going over there.
Three runs, 4 hits, no errors for Arizona. 2 runs, 3 hits, and an error for the Padres. Runner goes from second to third. Good throw by Sanchez, but it's not in time. Well, Schimpf covering the bag down there at third, and A.J. Pollock able to steal third base. So he's doing a little bit of everything today.
Yeah, timed up the delivery of Keith Hessler, and when he put his head down, he delivered the pitch. A.J. Pollock took off before he delivered. Nice throw by Sanchez, and just not enough time to apply the tag.
Infield in now all the way around with 1 out, a runner at third. And Peralta trying to get him in. Chops one to first base. Wallace will backpedal to the bag, and no advance for Pollock at third base, and now 2 down in the inning. So the infield in worked that time. Not going anywhere on contact was Pollock. He remains at third. And it'll bring up Brandon Drury. How was your off season?
I loved it. And you know, just having that opportunity to be able to spend time with your family, and not that it, you know, we have the opportunity to be home, and I live in San Diego, so it's nice to go back after games and be able to be a part of their lives. But to be able to go to volleyball games, and my 5-year-old started today in his t-ball games, and having and watching them grow up, it's a lot of fun to be able to do this job, be in front of a game that I absolutely love. And then you can wipe your hands clean and say, listen, I'm going to be a family man, a father and a husband. And yeah, I loved it. Got to ski this year, which I don't necessarily ski too many times. I did when I was back east.
Sure.
With growing up a little bit, but when baseball starts taking, I don't think it's an opportunity for you to get injured.
No.
But went to
Probably also
Jackson
in the
Hole.
contract, I believe.
Oh yeah, it's in the contract. Especially my contracts. It's like, okay, you're done. But I did. I got to ski and I stayed upright. That was the big
Awesome.
thing. It was a big thing.
Do the snow plow on the way down. They teach you how to do that.
I mean, the pizza.
Yeah.
You do the pizza and you slide down, and yeah, you got the flag on your back, so you tell everyone you're not an accomplished skier. But I grew up with the ski tips were to your forehead. Now they're down to your chest, and it's not good.
Up the middle into center field off the bat of Drury, and Pollock will come in and score. And the Diamondbacks take a 4-2 lead. Brandon Drury with a 2-out RBI. First run that is charged to Hessler since coming into the game. And we'll bring up Yasmani Tomas. Tomas 0 for 2 in the game, has fly to right and grounded into a fielder's choice. And Hessler will take a quick check on Drury at first base.
Well, with Yasmani Tomas last year made a really good adjustment. I think Dave Magadan and the hitting coaches for the Diamondbacks asked him to pull the ball a little bit more. He started powering the baseball. He looked more comfortable. First year in the big leagues, it looked like he wanted to serve it to right field so much.
31 home runs a year ago, and this one slapped into the crowd, and look out just beyond the Diamondbacks dugout down the third base line. Tomas looking in that direction. .31 home runs, 83 runs driven in last year for Tomas in 140 Diamondbacks games. .272 average. Looks like everybody's all right down there as it turns out, and Tomas looking back in that direction again. Ball and a strike here to Tomas. Challenged him there and got it by him.
Yeah, got him above the barrel with that fastball. Had good finish to it. See if they go back in there or possibly throw that breaking ball on the back foot.
What a big difference the Cactus League is to the Grapefruit League as far as travel goes, and the way the camps have two teams generally in each camp. I mean, it makes it so easy during the spring.
Well, it is the travel and knowing the weather. You know, you get some rain days at the beginning of the year and at the beginning of spring training, typically down here, but it doesn't affect the games. But the travel and the short trips and being able to play all these different teams.
Softly hit towards Schimpf at third, looked at second, but fires to first for the out that ends the inning. Diamondbacks tack on another run. Arizona on top 4-2. Diamondbacks on top of the Padres as we get ready for the bottom of the 4th inning. Beautiful day here in Peoria, Arizona. Good sized crowd on hand today, and ready to work is Tyler Jones, second arm used here by the Diamondbacks. Patrick Corbin was touched for 2 runs in the 3rd inning. He ends up going 3 innings in his start on the afternoon, allowing 3 hits to the Padres, and they were all extra base hits as it turned out. Myers with a double, both Perella and Janowski on triples. So 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks and 2 Ks. Numbers for Tyler Jones last year at AA in the Eastern League.
2.17 ERA. That's eye-popping when you think about a season.
Colin Cowgill leading it off here for the Padres in the bottom of the 4th inning. Second at bat of the day. Cowgill struck out looking in the 2nd inning. 1 of 2 strikeouts for Patrick Corbin on the day.
Well, I thought Patrick Corbin looked good today. Obviously at the end, maybe threw a few more breaking balls that he wanted to do. Didn't finish off Travis Janowski, but that would be very important for Patrick Corbin to get to that old ways in what he did as an all-star before the Tommy John surgery. You look at the Diamondbacks, and what Torey Lovullo is going to have to do and get is a better performance by the starters.
Colin Cowgill from Lexington, Kentucky, signed a minor league free agent deal, and here as a non-roster invitee. Mentioned earlier, AAA Columbus for the bulk of his season last year. In 9 games with the Cleveland Indians, but spent the year in their organization. A few years with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Broke into the big leagues with these Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2011. Cowgill with a swing and a miss. Ball gets away though. Iannetta trying to run it down, but reaching at first base should be Cowgill. Iannetta kind of kicked it as he got towards foul ground, and a strikeout, and see how they rule it, whether it'll be a wild pitch or not that allows Cowgill to reach at first base.
Oh, breaking ball in the dirt that gets by Iannetta. He has to try to backhand that baseball. And Cowgill easily gets into first base.
Brings up Hector Sanchez. Lined out to right field, and David Peralta in the 2nd inning. Shifting are the Diamondbacks on the right side.
Well, Hector Sanchez has more power, in my opinion, from the left side. If you're looking at the dynamic of the catching staff and what's going to happen, this would be something that would be beneficial to protect Austin Hedges for those tough right-handed matchups. You can put a lefty in there, a switch hitting catcher, be able to protect him in certain situations.
Hector Sanchez with that open stance from the left side. A little different from the left side than when you see him from the right side.
And typically the switch hitters won't mirror image both sides. They want a different style. Than when you get the same approaches on both sides, I think it's a mind game. But typically they have more power on one side. I think Hector looks very comfortable from the left side and gets predominantly his bats from that side as well.
27 years old, from Venezuela. Signed as a minor league free agent last year between the White Sox and Padres for Sanchez. Fly ball headed out towards right center. A.J. Pollock moving over and having trouble with the sun, drops the baseball. Cowgill headed for 3rd, and that turned into an adventure in center field. A.J. Pollock appeared to have it all lined up and then lost it, I think, in the sun.
We have a difficult time in Arizona here, and very difficult to pick up the baseball at times, but for Colin Cowgill doing a nice job getting to second base area, and if it's caught, you easily go back to first. But that ball is dropped, and he scoots into 3rd, 1st and 3rd for the Padres.
So 1st and 3rd, and it'll bring up Eric Ibar. Padres trailing by 2. Diamondbacks at double play depth here. Ibar grounded out to first base. First time up in the second inning. And bounces in. Iannetta got a piece of it. And taking second base would be Sanchez. Remaining at third, Cowgill, but Sanchez took off with the ball in the dirt and no problem taking second base. So wild pitch will get Sanchez to second base. Tying runs in scoring position here for the Padres.
Well, now Ibar has a situation offensively that you can look for a particular pitch. Look for a certain zone that you like.
Ibar, 33 years old, from the Dominican Republic, and he signed as a minor league free agent. Swings zone at the 2-0 and pops it up left side. Shortstop Nick Ahmed puts it away for the first out of the inning. So Ibar 0 for 2.
Well, Ibar got that mistake pitch. He just got underneath it a little bit, so the execution was not where he wanted it, but the mentality and what he wanted to attack was there.
One out, second and third, and Jose Pirela coming up. Pirela with a triple. Got it started for San Diego in the third inning. Back-to-back triples, as it turned out, Pirela and Janowski. Breaking ball in there for strike one.
Well, for Pirela, very exciting in the batter's box and sometimes gets out of the strike zone. So taking that breaking ball first pitch, don't have a problem with that.
First couple of years in the big leagues for Pirela spent with the New York Yankees. Wild swing and a miss, gets away from Iannetta, but not far enough. He'll try it from third base for Colin Cowgill. "15 games last year for Pirela in a Padres uniform. Spending the bulk of the year with El Paso. 137 games last year with the Chihuahuas. And part of the outfield conversation. Check swing, but a ball in the dirt didn't go.
Now 3 breaking balls. The first one was a strike, and then he went to the ones out of the strike zone. See if he elevates a fastball here.
Good size gap out of left center field. Center fielder A.J. Pollock well over into right center. On the ground up the middle, into center field, a base hit. Cowgill will score. Here comes Sanchez to tie the game. And the Padres collecting a pair. It's now 4-4. Second hit of the day for Pirela, and he drives in 2 with his base hit back up the middle.
Well, you like to see that because you exposed to a couple breaking balls in that at bat and gets a fastball and works the middle of the field. RBI situations, perfect approach by the young left fielder.
So Pirela at first base now, 1 down, 2 runs in, and Travis Jankowski struck out swinging in the first, tripled and scored in the third. Triple drove in a run, the first Padres run of the day, and they have tied it up here 4-4. Pirela back to the bag at first. One out in the inning. Double play depth are the Diamondbacks. On the ground softly towards short. Ahmed will try to start it. To second for 1 on to first. Kind of a changeup. thrown to first base. You're not going to get Janowski that way. Too much speed. They do get Perel 6-4 on the force out for the second out.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Really good. Now, did you hear about analyst camp? Did you have a chance to go? I mean, did you think about it?
Well, of course, I need it.
No.
I didn't get to go. Because Mark took our place.
Our Padres place?
That was our allotment. Can only bring one slot, and there's certain guys that they wanted to have there, and Mark ended up doing those animal balloons that he's really good at, and they wanted to have a guy that could do those. So
he said he did promos, they did pitch sequences, which were really cool. Lots of new stats that they worked on apparently.
Analytics
what's important, what's not, that was discussed.
It's prevalent in the game, and you're going to have to be able to incorporate those where you don't talk over our audience.
Or the play-by-play guy. As this one will get away, and up to second base goes Janowski.
Well, it was a much-needed camp, and I loved hearing the knowledge that Mark Grant took from that camp.
He's learned so much, and I've already seen a difference. We've only done one game together since he went to analyst camp in Palm Springs.
What'd you think?
Much better. I mean, like the way he would do the reads, he used to talk at you. Now he talks with you. I mean,
I thought a big thing was talking over a home run call, or maybe
huge, or a cycle.
The cycle.
Maybe just for instance, Exhibit A. Jesse Agler made a tremendous call that no one got to hear because somebody was yelling "Go" the whole time.
And he was going already.
He was already.
It wasn't like he's going faster.
I can't hear you.
So what are you saying?
Yeah, unbelievable. So
yeah, I've had to apologize to Jesse so many times. I feel like we're a part of it.
To second, and it's nabbed by Drury in the air to end the inning. But a pair of runs for the Padres in the fourth inning to tie the game 4-4. Runs in the bottom of the fourth inning have tied this contest 4-4 as we head into the fifth inning, and new pitcher on for the Padres, the fourth arm used by San Diego today, and it's Craig Stammen into the game.
Well, you think about a guy that can make a difference in a bullpen, and this is going to be a situation you're going to have to watch because versatility, he can start, he can be that long reliever, but also short reliever as well. He's got the stuff, the ability, and you see the strikeouts to walks. That's always good to see, but great frame, and this would be something that if he makes the club would make that bullpen stronger.
33-year-old from North Star, Ohio, splitting the season last year between AAA Columbus, AA Arkansas. With the watchful eye of Darren Balsley. Stammen taking over for Keith Hessler. Ended up going an inning and 2/3, was charged with a run. Walked one, did not strike anybody out. Daniel Descalso leading it off here for the Diamondbacks. Single to left, single to right, and has driven in a run. Descalso, of course, spending the bulk of his career with the St. Louis Cardinals, breaking in 2010 and 5 years with the Cardinals. Last 2 parts of with the Colorado Rockies. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Bob Scanlon, of course, with us today as well. And Bob, your thoughts on the Padres bullpen heading into the year?
Well, as Mark Sweeney referenced earlier, I think that could be one of the strengths of this ball club. They've got so much depth there, and what's really interesting, Sweens, as you know, they've got lefties, they've got righties, they've got a lot of different options that Andy Green can go to. And you know, with reference to a guy like Stammen here, these guys are underrated, very underappreciated. When you have a guy that can actually go both ways for you, both as a starter, if you need him, work out of the bullpen and be comfortable in both situations, those guys can be staff savers and are important guys to have on your ball club.
I agree, Bob. And when you think about situations throughout the season that you have to rely on your bullpen for innings, you have experience in Craig. He can bring that experience, and also that slider that we just saw that he busts off to the left-handers. I think the versatility that they have in this pitching staff and the bullpen, it's the lefties that can get righties out. It's righties that can get lefties out. So mixing and matching and setting up roles would be pretty easy for Andy Green and also Darren Balsley to make.
You know, that's a great point. You don't have guys that are just one-dimensional. In other words, you don't have a bunch of right-handers that can only get the righties out, or lefties that can only get the left-handers out, which is nice because you don't have to make as many pitching changes in terms of the matchups. You can have a guy and have confidence that the lefty can still get the righty out.
Ball dropped by Perella in left field, and at second base is Descalso.
Sweens, if you were walking into the clubhouse in the morning and you saw your name penciled into left field here at this ballpark, what would you think?
Well, first of all, I was excited for that opportunity, but I know I was going to be wearing my glasses. I knew when the ball was up, I was hoping it was going to be ending up in my glove. You see it, and it's all the time. And what makes it very difficult in the outfield, and I'm making excuses for these guys, you got to make the plays you're supposed to make, but you typically play deeper because the ball travels so much farther. You have elements that you have to deal with, and that's going to happen all throughout the year. But for Perella, he's going to have to start making those plays and add that to his offense to get more opportunities.
On the ground to first, picked by Wallace, got the runner hung out between second and third. Descalso not trying to get that other runner to second at the very least, and he does behind him, so they will just run him down and apply the tag. Brett Wallace doing that, giving Marte the chance to take second base, staying in the rundown long enough to give him that opportunity.
Oh, that was a good job by Descalso to stay in it. Those are the opportunities that you see in the mornings and preparing the rundowns and what you have to do. So getting in that scenario and being able to go over it, what they could have done better. Because on a rundown, you don't want too many throws. It gives an opportunity for them to advance bases, but also more mistakes.
And here's Chris Herman with a runner at second, one down here in the fifth inning. Talking about Craig Stammen, broke into the big leagues in 2009 with the Washington Nationals, where he spent all of his major league time. Breaks off a breaking ball that time and misses. Appeared in a total of 229 major league games. His time with the Nationals. Runner takes off at third as it's fouled off over to the Padres dugout.
Well, it's the second time the Diamondbacks have shown their aggressiveness on the base pass, trying to not only steal second but stealing third today. Bob, so many times you're thinking about executing your pitches, but the running game is pretty important as well to handle that.
No doubt about it, Mark. And obviously here in spring training, you've got so much going through your mind in terms of you're just trying to get the feel for the breaking pitch up here in this thin air. You're trying to get some outs. You want to have some quick innings, but at the same time, you can't ignore the running game. And especially in spring training where all the runners, as you know, are being told, hey, take advantage.
Yep.
Force those guys to handle the ball a little bit more. You know, Darren Balsley's always had the philosophy, though, that you don't want to ignore the running game, but by all means, don't let that take away from your stuff to home plate. As a pitcher, your #1 responsibility is to get that guy out at home. That's where you want to have your best stuff. You don't want to do anything to compromise it.
Yeah, and I think Darren Balsley learned that from the great Greg Maddux, the Hall of Famer. Greg Maddux definitely took in that consideration. He didn't worry about the running game as much. He worried about executing his pitches and getting the outs. And he put himself in positions to have guys in scoring position, but that's when he was at his best because he was thinking about executing and locating his pitches.
So no slide step or anything like that taking away from the quality of the pitch.
That's right.
I actually had an incident with a slide step that cost me a home run. Deion Sanders took me deep, and it was on a slide step. And then afterwards, speaking of Greg, he actually came up to me and said, basically, dude, you're coming into the game late. The game is on the line. Why do you worry about slide stepping? Go at him with your best stuff. So, perfect case in point, Sweens.
Chopped down the first baseline foul. You know about Maddux and his incredible career, but what kind of leader was he to be around?
Well, he was those small conversations that you would have, and you had to ask, you had to show that you were interested in the little things, because that's what made him great. Obviously, it wasn't velocity, it was location, where he's going to pitch, thinking of as a hitter. But as a hitter, I could learn from those things. I could watch and how he executed, but he lent a lot of information. A lot of it was funny in nature.
Swing and a miss, and Herman strikes out. First K for Stammen since coming in. That's out number 2.
But to your point, Don, I believe that if you're a guy that's has the ability to watch a game on the bench and waiting for your opportunity, you have conversations with people that have done it, that have been there, that understand that experience really goes a long way in this game. And I think that's what's kept the guys that have tried to hang on to the game as much as possible. You're lent that information and you have to execute it and put it into your own game.
Nick Ahmed batting with 2 down, and Ketel Marte at second base. In the dirt, gets away from Sanchez, and taking third base is Marte. Right away, aggressively getting to third, 90 feet away.
Looked like a slider that Hector Sanchez had a tough time blocking in front of him, but he got his body over there, just ricocheted off that left shoulder area.
You've seen Cosart, Jenkins, Hessler, and now Stammen in the game for Andy Green. In the dirt, this time smothered by the catcher Hector Sanchez. Tied up 4-4 right now, but the Diamondbacks threatening to take the lead here in the 5th inning. Marte at third. And this one chopped down the third baseline. It's Ryan Schimpf with a long throw that gets there in plenty of time. Stammen out of the jam. The Diamondbacks leave a runner at third, tied up 4-4. bottom of the 5th inning. Beautiful day here today in Arizona. Great crowd on hand to see the Padres and the Diamondbacks and the berm in left center and right center. Pretty much at full capacity out there today. The pitcher coming in here now for the Diamondbacks, their 3rd of the day. And Zach Godley comes in.
We saw Zach Godley pitch out of the bullpen for the Diamondbacks last year. Big arm, good breaking ball, and for the Padre hitters, it's probably going to be, you typically have the 2, maybe 3 at bats. Then the reserves start coming in, so make the most of it when you can.
Tyler Jones went an inning, giving up 2 hits and 2 runs. Oh, look out as down goes Will Myers up and in. Myers with a double in the 1st, a walk in the 3rd, has been aboard twice. Today not playing first base. He is the DH. Now, it seemed like a great move during the offseason to lock him up for a long time, and the Padres did just that.
You know what I think about? And it's something that's small, but it's something that the Padres definitely need. It's the kids coming to the game and relating who is the star out there, who's the guy, and the all-star. For Will Myers, and being able to know that you're going to be in the Padre uniform for a long time, that's important for kids to go out there and be prideful of the Padres and what's going on. That's going to take some time, but Will Myers is a really good start. And obviously proud that he gets that ability to see what the hard work he's put into the game. Only 26 years old, and you shake your head because you think he's been in the game for a lot longer than that. But he's in his prime.
Chops it foul, and it's a full count here, 3-2. And you could tell when he had signed that contract and had his press conference how much it meant to him and how much he wanted to be here in San Diego.
Yeah, he felt embraced, and I think the All-Star game, if you go back to what the city of San Diego presented and being prideful, and the response that the Padre fans and the baseball fans gave Will Myers, I think that had a lot to do with it. Also trusting the process of what's in front of him. These younger guys being able to be a mentor, a leader, having those conversations with younger players, and also setting an example, setting a tone for what Andy Green expects in the locker room and also on the field.
Payoff pitch, and that'll bounce well in front of the plate. Ball 4, and for the 2nd time today, Will Myers has worked a walk. So Godley walking the first Padre that he faces in the game, and going to bring up Ryan Schimpf. Schimpf has lined out to second, reached on a fielder's choice. That's the day for Will Myers. It'd be pinch run for at first base. So as you mentioned, 2 or 3 at bats, and then that's a day. There's a grounder off the glove of Godley out towards second base, and no play underneath the glove that time, and heading for third base is Myers, or rather the pinch runner, as reaching at first to be Ryan Schimpf. And that'll be the day for Schimpf as well. That's Javi Guerra running for Will Myers.
Well, Javi Guerra made it uncomfortable for the infielder to come in and make that play. And then with the error, easily advances to third base.
So now 1st and 3rd and nobody out. May see something interesting today. Christian Bethancourt is warming in the pen.
Well, what a great story this is. And came into the league as a catcher with that prized arm. We saw them a couple times on the mound last year performing, but took that to winter ball. Different mechanics as a pitcher, and that's interesting because I talked to Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, about it today, and he said going from a catcher to a pitcher, they'd like for him to just let it loose. And it's that fastball command. They want to see that mid-90s to upper 90s fastball, and not worry about right now with the slider. Even though he has a slider, he's got a little changeup to go along with that. He's worried about just letting it go and mechanically feeling comfortable and acting as a pitcher.
different arm angle certainly than a catcher would have what he's been doing in his career to this point.
Yeah, and it is because those throws from the ear that the catcher has, and he is known for that cannon of an arm, and we've seen it. But when it comes down to it, pitching and being able to mechanically feel comfortable and not be susceptible to injuries, that's one of the things I think it's a worry for the Padres, and they've had the kid gloves on for a little bit.
Brett Wallace, third plate appearance of the day. He has walked and grounded out. Taps it foul over by the Padres dugout.
Well, Darren said something interesting today, and if you think about it from a catcher's perspective, it's that front shoulder. You come out of the crouch and you're throwing from the ear here. As a pitcher, you want more length, so that front shoulder's elevated so we can get length back here and get up into that pitching position, which is very important. And you're going to see a higher release from Christian Bethancourt, which I think as a pitcher, that's what you typically see. Yes, you have different arm angles. There's three-quarters, there's side arm. But Christian Bethancourt's looking the part now and has that arm.
This will go foul as Wallace, about 2/3 of the way down the line, pulls it up. Do you think it would cost him velocity-wise, having to change that arm angle at all?
You know, I've never done that to getting on the mound and feeling that velocity, but everything has to work together, no matter what you do. And there's Christian Bethancourt, already loose in the bullpen. We're going to see him today. But that's something that they want to get, and I think he just possesses that dream arm. I think everyone wants to see the results. Kenley Jansen comes to mind, a catcher transformed into a pitcher. But also going back and you think about what people have done in the game of baseball. Troy Percival comes to mind, a roommate of mine. He was a catcher, put him on the mound, and became the saves leader for the Angels, a career saves leader. So that could be something that's very intriguing for the San Diego Padres.
Interesting that they have not abandoned the rest of what he does as far as catching and perhaps outfield and everything else, keeping that all part of the mix. And that's the unusual part, I guess.
Sounds like Andy Green doesn't really have a grasp of what they want to do. It's kind of it sounds like they want to see the pitching side first. They know he's athletically where he can go out in the outfield and get a couple innings, maybe a spot start here and there, and he can get behind the plate. But they're trying to find what he does in a manner that really makes him set apart from everybody else.
Swing and a miss, and Wallace strikes out. Actually foul tipped into the catcher's mitt. First out. First strikeout for Zach Godley. And that'll bring up Colin Cowgill.
Well, it's definitely intriguing, and you wonder what's going to happen in the next month and how they're going to handle that, how he's going to perform as a pitcher. So if it sticks out and it plays and they can add him to the roster with versatility coming into play, roster construction comes into that. He could be an added guy that can give you another arm, that could give you those innings that he can start maturing as a pitcher.
Saw his first outing here the other day, and you're right, it was a lot of fastballs. It looked like that's what he's working on right now.
Yeah, and I think letting it go for Darren Balsley would be very important for Christian Bethancourt to understand. And you want to be that pitcher that has an out pitch that goes out. Well, that out pitch can be a fastball, and you possess that. So let's show that first, and then we'll work on the other things and modify certain things.
Ball and a strike here to Cowgill, who has struck out and walked today, scored a run his last time up. It's a 4-4 game. We play here in the bottom of the fifth. Runners at first and third for San Diego. One down in the fifth inning. Zach Godley, the third pitcher used by Torey Lovello today. Line to center field with some authority. Back goes A.J. Pollock, and that is going to one-hop the wall. In from third, scoring is Guerra. Padres are going to get another run here as no throw. Now the throw will come to the plate, and it'll be late. Padres take a 6-4 lead. Couple of runs here off Zach Godley in the fifth inning.
Well, extra base hitting for this Padre offense today, and it's been impressive shooting the gaps.
So Cowgill driving in a pair, his first hit of the day. And the Padres trail 3-0 and 4-2. Tied it up 4-4, now lead it 6-4. Here's Hector Sanchez. Sanchez has lined out to right and singled to center. After singling in the 4th inning, came around to score the game-tying run at the time. Zach Godley just trying to get some work, and all of a sudden having to work pretty hard here in the inning. After a walk and a misplay in the infield, he had runners on base with nobody out. Was able to strike out Brett Wallace prior to the 2-run double by Colin Cowgill. 0-2. And a swing and a miss at Sanchez off balance. He strikes out. He was looking for something else. That's the 2nd strikeout of the inning by Godley.
Good combination of back-to-back pitches. First the fastball and then finishing him off with that tight slider inside. Let's take a look at the finish of that slider on that back leg. Very nice execution by Godley.
So 2 down. Cowgill at second base. And Eric Ibar taking strike 1. Ibar has grounded out to first and popped out to shortstop. 0 for 2. Corbin started today and went 3 innings, giving up 2 runs for the Diamondbacks. Tyler Jones gave up 2 runs in an inning, and so far Zach Godley touched for a couple here in the 5th, and he's going back and forth with Chris Iannetta trying to get on the same page.
Definitely been methodical on the mound, to say the least. You love that, don't you?
Oh, it's the best. Gives you more time.
Hey, Padre fans, every Saturday in baseball night in San Diego at Petco Park. Each baseball night features an all-fan giveaway or experience. Don't miss the first all-fan giveaway of the season, a Padres hoodie presented by Toyota on April 22nd when the Padres face the Marlins. Get your tickets at Padres.com.
Fly ball into right field as Peralta makes his way in and under. We'll put it away to end the inning, but the Padres grab a pair and take a 6-4 lead. Padres on top of the Diamondbacks as we head to the top half of the 6th inning, and as advertised, here is Christian Bethancourt into the game. Look at that first outing. We mentioned first time out. Hits, no runs, didn't strike anybody out, and I mentioned a lot of fastballs in that first outing.
Yeah, let's see how the second outing comes out, and mechanically, as we touched on, watch that front shoulder, the length of his throwing motion will be interesting to see. And you're always looking at velocity when it comes to Christian Bethancourt. Saw 96, 97 miles an hour out of that right-handed arm.
Yeah, the release point does look different, and certainly you would expect it to be so as a pitcher now, but it's got to be very difficult for him to get used to. He hasn't done it that much.
Yeah, and making it second nature is probably the harder thing, but athletically he's able to do it, and it's a really good sign. And I think it's a very interesting storyline when it comes to the Padre spring training.
It'll be Chris Iannetta leading it off here for the Diamondbacks. Out of the 9th spot, has walked and grounded out to second base. Bob Scanlon, curious to get your thoughts on this transformation for Bethancourt, moving from catcher to pitcher, and how hard that would be to kind of change your arm angle and delivery.
Well, you know, as Sween's already referenced, the whole different arm angle, obviously not something that can be taken lightly, because you're altering a guy's arm motion, and obviously that can set you up for potential injury. But so far everything seems to be fine. And what I like is that he actually spent the offseason also working in the outfield, which I think helps to lengthen out that arm motion. So far so good, and he's working on a couple other mechanical things as well, trying to use the front arm a little bit more, which is not natural for a catcher. And also he was landing on a very soft front leg last year, so Darren Balsley in the offseason said, hey, let's try to stiffen up the front leg landing spot just a little bit so we have something to throw against. So there's a lot of things that he's working on, but so far I think the results look great, and who knows, this guy could really be an impact guy coming out of the pen if he can rush it up there 97 miles an hour.
Bob, I know a lot of people have in different ways to be able to lengthen that arm. Is long toss one of those options? Because I know a lot of people go against that theory, but we're taking a look at his motion right now and using that front side, lengthening that arm swing. But is that something that's an option to long toss when you're in between appearances?
Absolutely. I'm a huge believer in long toss under any circumstances, but you're absolutely right, Mark. If you can get some long tossing and it just helps you to stretch things out. And again, it's something that not only are you changing the motion, but you're using the muscles a little bit differently. And I think the long tossing, throwing from the outfield, even I've seen some guys try to lengthen it out, throwing on the infield to try to find a different arm motion and not shorten up too much. So there's a lot of different tools a guy can use, but I think long toss is an outstanding one, not only to find that arm slot, but it also helps strengthen up the shoulder muscles.
Almost looked like he had a little recoil on that last delivery. Going to miss this time for ball 4 with 1 out. I guess when you're doing this for the first time, I guess repeating that delivery is something he's going to be working on. We're trying to repeat it consistently.
No question about it. That's what every pitcher is actually striving for. I mean, consistency. I mean, how often can you repeat that motion? Repeatability. It's crucial for any pitcher in any circumstance, and that's going to be one of his challenges. But as Mark mentioned earlier, the fact that the Padres are saying, look, don't overthink this thing right now. Just go out there and throw. It's so rare that you hear a pitching coach telling the guy, we just want you to go out and cut it loose, air it out. I think that's a great way for him to start and find out what he's capable of with his fastball and not try to do too much thinking too early on in this process.
Well, Bob, Rule 5 draft, and it's another equation that came into it, but you think of Luis Perdomo last year in coming into an opportunity. They were wanting to put him in out of the bullpen last year in comfortable situations. So if it's Christian Bethancourt, he's not going to be pitching in high leverage situations at the beginning of the year if he indeed makes it as a guy that's pitching. So how do you take that mindset and go into it and go out there and execute your pitches?
You know, I love the fact that he doesn't have to be in high pressure situations to begin with, but the nice thing about watching him throw.
There's a throw by Torrens just into the game, man. Nicely done. Gonna catch Pollock trying to steal.
Great throw by Torrens, and you saw Bethancourt point to him afterwards as though to say, hey, nice throw, young man. So you know that pitcher on the mound has as much respect for that throw down to second base as anybody right now.
Yeah, he saw the low pitch, and he ends up coming up out of the crouch and throwing an absolute perfect throw to Nab Brito.
Ground ball into the shift. And Peralta will be retired to in the inning. So the caught stealing is big, and Bethancourt another good outing here. 6-4 Padres. Padres have lead over the Diamondbacks. Tactical league game still going on. And set it down to Bob Scanlon.
Hey, thanks, Don. I'm joined by Padre infielder Ryan Schimpf. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Congratulations. Nice ball game today. And in classic fashion, 2 Rockets, they make some nice plays on you, and you only get a chopper up the middle and get the hit. But you had to feel pretty good, I would imagine, about your ABs today.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I was happy with not necessarily the results, but I was swinging at good pitches. So, got to keep working and, keeping geared up for the season.
Before we get too far into this, congratulations on being a daddy. Very exciting. Went home for a few days. Your son Reed entering the world. Mommy and son, everybody okay? Everything went smooth?
Yeah, baby number 2. So everybody's doing good. So my wife's grinding back home. So everybody's doing well.
That's awesome. Hey, because of the shorter spring training and you missing a few days as well, any sort of catching up that you need to do in terms of getting your ABs in or getting comfortable in the infield on short notice here, and also missing a few days going back home?
No, I feel good. Before I left and when I got back, we tried to get as many live at bats out for our guys as I could. So and it was raining for a bunch of the other guys while I was away, I believe. So no, I feel good and just about put in the work and getting ready.
Speaking of good, you were one of the great feel-good stories for the Padres last season. 7 years in the minor leagues, you finally got your opportunity. A guy that had put up 20 home runs or more your last 4 seasons in the minor leagues. Was it getting to a point where you just felt like, what more do I need to do to kick the door in to get that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, that's my story. Everybody's got a story to get to the big leagues. That was my journey. So I just approach it like I would be here at some point and just try to prepare myself to become the best player I could be and just be ready for the opportunity.
You made the most of that opportunity last season. This year, getting some work at second base and over third base today. Do you have a preference either side of the infield?
It doesn't matter to me. I like them both. So whatever the team needs me to do, I'll do it.
Okay, now you guys are doing a lot of shifts. You were actually the victim of the shift in your first at-bat, a line drive in right field. So do you love it as a defender and not care for it too much on the offensive side?
Yeah, you try not to think about it. So it's part of the game now, and just try to stay with your approach and be yourself out there. So it's part of what we're doing now.
Ryan, congratulations again on the new addition to your family, and keep up the great work out there.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, Ryan Schimpf joining us. Guys, back to you.
All right, Bob, thanks very much. Certainly one of the highlights of last season was to watch him play, and his 20 home runs last year after joining the Padres and a chance to be in the big leagues and making his mark in the major leagues after a long time in the minor leagues.
Yeah, he's got to feel good coming into this camp too, and putting up numbers at the big league level, having that opportunity to know that you belong. He's past that point, and now it's how do I get as many at-bats as I can? How can I show that I feel comfortable over at third base and I'm still improving at second base? And he's a tireless worker. but you hear confidence in his voice, and that's what I love.
Six runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Padres. 4 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Diamondbacks. And Janowski fouls that one off. Fractured the bat in the process, so he'll go get a new one.
It's a fracture.
It's definitely a fracture. Tripled back in the 3rd inning to drive in a run, a 1-for-3 day, and 4th at bat of the day for Janowski. Nakashiro into the game here now for the Diamondbacks, the left-hander. And it's strike 3, freezing Janowski. Back-to-back Ks. 2 down here in the 6th inning.
Well, Nakashiro has that sidearm delivery, and you take a look at the slider, and you freeze as a left-hander. Haven't seen too many of those pitches in the offseason, and that takes some time to be able to pick up that location.
I would think especially tough on the left-handed hitter.
Oh. And you've seen it for years, Don. So many left-handers you see in spring training, they come out of the woodworks. There's 10, 15 on a roster coming into spring training, and then they leave camp and there's 1 or 2 on the roster. Where do they all go?
Where do they come from in the first place?
Exactly.
Carlos Azuaje batting, and he'll take a ball. 1-1. 0-for-3 today. He is fouled out to left, grounded out to first, and last time up, lined out to second base. Popped up left side. Nick Ahmed puts it away, and it's a 1-2-3 6th inning. On to the 7th. Padres on top 6-4. Top of the Diamondbacks as we get ready for the 7th, but first let's send it back down to Bob Scanlon.
Thanks, Don. One of the funnest stories of spring training. Christian Bethancourt making that transition from catcher, outfielder, pitcher. You just got your 2nd inning of work in, another scoreless frame. How'd you feel out there?
Great. It was I didn't throw many strikes as I did last time, but team the few threw were enough to get the 3 outs, and once again I'm happy with it again.
Now, did you have a little bit of butterflies in the first outing of spring training, feeling a little bit more relaxed each time you go out there?
Yeah, actually this time was a lot better, definitely a lot better. The pressure I felt last time in the first pitch, it was that was there. I mean, it wasn't there this time, and it definitely feels a lot better.
There's been a lot of talk in terms of your preparation to make this transition. How is the arm slot? How's the arm feeling? It's a different motion for you, but it doesn't seem like it's bothered you at all in terms of trying to do both, do some catching and doing some pitching. Arm motion feels okay for you?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the throwing action is different from catching and pitching. And pitching is basically the same motion I used to throw from the outfield. So he was kind of there before I started pitching. And but the organization has been pretty good managing my throwing program and how many throws I do and what do I need to throw, what exactly day, and I have no problem so far. So I guess I'm in the right direction.
Yeah, and just a few mechanical changes. I know they talked to you a little bit about using the front arm more, your landing foot a little bit as well. So far, everything's feeling pretty comfortable for you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got any comments about those two teams and today or the last outing, so I guess I'm doing it right, so I'm happy with that.
Now, you got your catcher back there, and I know you probably hated getting shaken off when you were catching and putting down the signs. Any concerns about shaking off your catchers now that you're on the hill?
No. I haven't checked the catcher. Torrance has been my catcher twice, and he's been pretty good. So no, I haven't got any concerns about shaking him off. So. I'm not trying to make him mad by it.
Yeah, no, and he throws the guy out for you at second base. I just saw you turn around and go, "Hey, man, nice throw." There's special appreciation for that part of it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, even when I'm catching, you always feel a little special when the pitcher recognizes that you did a good job, and you just got a guy out for him. So I felt he just came out of me, and telling I appreciated the throw, and he got the guy out.
It's interesting. Also, most of the time, pitching coaches are telling guys they need to pitch a little bit more, use the off speed a little bit more. It's been the exact opposite for you. Darren Balsley has said, hey, let's see that fastball. Go ahead and be more of a thrower than a pitcher. A little bit unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, but I guess with me it's a little different because they want me to get comfortable with the fastball, throw it at any count, at any situation, to any hitter. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been working out so far.
Christian, it's been fun to see you out there. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, Christian Bethancourt making that transition to the mound, guys, and so far it's looking good. Back to you.
Yeah, it is, Bob. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. And that was great to hear from Christian as well. Good guy.
He's a really good guy. He's embracing this new challenge, and I like what he said. And the Padres organization are taking control of this whole situation and monitoring it and being very careful and cautious when it comes to this, because there's nothing to push Christian Bethancourt into a position where he feels like he has to get hitters out like it's the regular season.
Yasmani Tomas batting here. Tomas 0 for 3 in the game. Michael Kelly coming in here for the Padres, 24-year-old. Signed as a supplemental round pick, 48th overall, 2011. El Paso, San Antonio, and Lake Elsinore last year for him. All spent in the Padres minor leagues. Foul back, just above Mark Sweeney.
That was coming in hot.
It was very hot. I thought for sure that was going to get you.
Listen, I have the biggest dome possible around here, so it's an easy target.
I don't know.
That came in hot.
It did.
I didn't see you trying to help me either.
No, I was going that way. To be honest with you, I thought you were going to get the ricochet right into the chiclets.
I have a dental plan.
Right?
But, it's an easy target for my melon.
Out to center. And back there is Cordero.
Sheila didn't say anything. World Baseball Classic is coming to San Diego. Petco Park hosts the second round action March 14th through the 18th with potential teams including the United States, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Colombia, Canada, and Italy. Get your tickets now at padres.com/WBC.
So one out, a runner at first base, and here's Jeremy Hazelbaker. Descalso had been in this spot and had a 3-hit day today. Last year with St. Louis, 235 average, 12 home runs for Hazelbaker.
Well, Mike Matheny, the Cardinals manager, could not take him out of the lineup early in the year. He was the story for the Cardinals. Getting big hits, hitting a lot of home runs.
Claimed off waivers by the Diamondbacks. Played 114 games with the Cardinals last year, and it was his first major league experience. Snap throw to first, and Coleman on a good pick in the dirt. This play to even get it, but then tried to apply the tag, but back safely at first. Oswaldo Arcia was with the Padres last year, now running at first base. Chop foul, and it's 2-2 now to Hazelbaker. Prior to last year, Hazelbaker had been at AAA in a couple different locations. Pawtucket Red Sox in 2013. Originally a Red Sox 4th round pick back in 2009. Outside for ball 3. Was signed by the Cardinals to a minor league deal. As you mentioned, burst onto the scene last year and played 114 games.
Well, he earned that playing time. Spring training was a huge success, and you wonder if it was going to transfer, and it did. Big hits early in April gave him extended playing time.
Ball 4 works a walk here, and now the Diamondbacks have runners at first and second with 1 away. Walks were a problem last time out for Michael Kelly. These outings certainly big for some of these pitchers. A guy like Michael Kelly here trying to make an impression on the major league coaching staff.
And you wonder if stress is involved when it comes to a younger pitcher and trying to cut his teeth even in spring training. That's an adjustment that you're going to have to make because you still get those nerves.
Del Marte batting. 4th plate appearance today. Walked in the 2nd. Lined out to second base in the 3rd. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th. Michael Kelly taking over for Christian Bethancourt. He did walk a batter, but he was caught stealing. So facing the minimum in the 6th inning. Another good outing today for Christian Bethancourt. Preserving what is a 2-run advantage right now for the Padres. Two-one pitch from Michael Kelly. That's a strike at the knees. Marte didn't think so.
While driving that fastball down in the strike zone, but you see the catcher getting that left thumb underneath the baseball and framing that pitch. It's good to see by the young catcher.
Curveball that time. It drops down low, and it's a full count. Garcia at second, Hazelbaker at first, 1 down in this Diamondbacks 7th inning. He in the dirt, and he loses him. Another walk allowed by Kelly. Back-to-back here in the 7th inning. Loads the bases now for Arizona. And Darren Balsley will head out to talk to him.
Well, it's interesting pitch selection. They want the fastball in on a 3-2 pitch. It's a dangerous pitch, and he already executed that down and away fastball for strike 2. Darren Balsley just giving him reminders, understanding that you got to try to get ahead, the situation, try to work for a ground ball with one out.
Well, Chris Herman's going to get another at bat. He's already walked twice in this game and struck out his last time up. First time that he's faced Michael Kelly. Garcia at third base, Hazelbaker at second, Marte at first. Starts him with a breaking ball, and that's in there for a strike that time, throwing the curveball for a strike. Missed a couple times in the last sequence. Fouled off, and it's 0-2.
Back-to-back breaking balls.
Feeling pretty good about it right now.
Well, he's spinning it well, and you wonder, he has options now. And with that fastball command wavering, you wonder if he's going to trust that young catcher to bury the breaking ball in the dirt. Like they're going fastball up.
They saw Torrens in that stand-up stance.
Well, to change the eye level for hitters, you're so locked in, especially with 2 strikes and trying to cover everything. But that fastball up can get you off that breaking ball. See if they go back to it.
Runs away, and it's 2-2. So he's ahead 0-2, but now it's even. Having some control problems in a couple of the outings that he has been in so far during the spring, and now in a bases loaded jam with 1 out. Late swing, and it's fouled off down by the Diamondbacks dugout. The emergency swing right there for Chris Herman.
Well, it's because of success with the earlier pitches of the breaking ball. As a hitter, you'll have that mindset. I'm going to cover the fastball on the outside part, but I want to stay on that breaking ball.
Strike 3 call. Kind of a delayed call, but Roberto Ortiz rings him up the home plate umpire, and Herman strikes out for the second time today. That's a big strikeout for Michael Kelly. 2 down.
Well, high fastball right at the top of the strike zone, and Torrens sticks it at the top of the strike zone. We saw him frame that on the bottom, and from the young backstop, being able to control that strike zone. Good to see. Nice pitch by Kelly.
So bases loaded, 2 down, and Nick Ahmed the batter. Ed had a sacrifice fly back in the second inning. Starts him with a curveball, and it's in there for a strike. Pretty obvious that Michael Kelly feeling comfortable with that curveball right now.
Yeah, and that might have been one of the keys for Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, to remind him of. Don't abandon that breaking ball.
Jumps ahead here 0-2. After being behind a lot of the Diamondbacks coming in, he's been ahead of the last couple. Ahmed last year in 90 games with Arizona. It's his 3rd year in the major leagues with the Diamondbacks. 0-2 in the dirt. Blocked nicely by Torrens. Ahmed was a 2nd-round pick back in 2011. Another look at the block.
Well executed. Justin Hatcher said that's work in progress, getting that glove down. and being able to block that in front of you. And the trust factor for Michael Kelly to be able to bury that breaking ball.
Swing and a miss, elevated, and got Ahmed to chase and gets out of the bases loaded jam. 7th inning stretch from Peoria. A 6-4 San Diego lead. High heat gets it. Top 6-4. Let's check back in with Bob Scanlon.
Power hitter for the Padres, Travis Janowski. Home run in the first hit of spring training for you. Got doubles off the wall, a triple today. What's up with the power outburst?
Yeah, I wouldn't say power hitter by any means. You know, I guess I just put some good swings on it and got lucky, but still trying to stick with my approach and stay up the middle.
Yeah, in all honesty, that is what you did so well last year. Obviously, you're great at staying inside the ball. It seemed like the one thing you wanted to try to improve on was turning on the ball a little bit more, and you're certainly doing that. Is that still a focus this spring for you?
Yeah, I figured, you know, I thought I handled the pitch away pretty well last year, shooting the ball through the 6-hole, and figured, you know, word trail's pretty quick in this game, so I better figure out how to hit an inside pitch. And, yeah, put a lot of work in this offseason, and I think it's starting to pay off.
You know, one of the other things that looks like it's paying off is your work against left-handers, your approach against the lefties today. A nice triple on an off-speed pitch on the outside corner. Doing anything different against the southpaws so far?
Well, this offseason, I took a lot of BP from left-handed pitchers, just to see that angle and get that angle and just get used to it. I think that paid off a lot, and yeah, Corbin just kind of threw a slider, and I guess it was on the outer half, and just kind of got the head out on the bat and shot it in the gap.
Now, is that something that you're actually going to try to work on a little bit during the season as well? Try to go out of your way to get left-handed bullpen pitchers to throw to you also?
Yeah, John Matthews is our new outfield coach, and he's a lefty. So him and I have a good relationship already, being an outfield coach and throwing lefty. So I've been taking some BP off him, just soft BP, but just that angle helps out a ton.
So you'd already give him the heads up, man. Get that arm ready for you every day?
I told him, I said, hey, get it loose, get in that hot tub, get in that cold tub, and you know, I tell him, you know, let's work away today, let's work in today, and he can put it where he wants to.
You know, okay, this works out perfect for you today because you're in there, the sun is up. As soon as you come out of the ball game, the cloud cover covers it for you. I mean, a tough outfield out here for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's bad in left. Left to start the game, and then center, you know, in the last couple innings, it's pretty tough out there, but good thing we got sunglasses.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, you're going to get some work in left field, obviously, and we had an interesting discussion a few days ago about how it's actually one of the most difficult positions out there. It's easier for you to cover center field than to go out and left. Is it mostly because the angle's off the ball? I know you mentioned also possibly because you're right-handed, a little bit more difficult to get to it. What are the kind of things that you're working on?
Yeah, I think in left field, every ball's going to tail away from you. If a lefty's late, it's going to slice down the line, and if a righty's early, it's going to hook down the line. And, yeah, like you said, if reaching across your body is never an easy play. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And, yeah, just the angle off the bat, it's tough to read out there. So I've been taking a lot of reps and getting used to it.
Travis, it's a whole new clubhouse. I mean, everybody's young. I mean, different feel for you? Has it been fun this spring for you?
Oh my goodness, it's been a blast, man. Everyone out here fighting for a job, everyone high energy. It's been a lot of fun.
That's great. Travis, keep up the great work, and look forward to seeing some more home runs out of you.
Thank you.
All right, Travis Janowski having a great start to spring training, guys. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Bob. It was so much fun to watch Travis Janowski play last year, and looking forward to it again this year.
And you know what? The beginning of the year, he struggled because he was presented as a bench player and defensively going in for a replacement late in games, and that was new to him. Most of these minor leaguers coming up, they're everyday players, so that was an adjustment. Then he got his playing time, and all of his hard work were put into play, and he looked very comfortable as a big leaguer at the end of the year.
We talked about how hard he worked during the offseason facing left-handed pitching. Working hard at that, and we can already see a difference.
Definitely, and it's one of those mindsets. If you're going to be an everyday player, you're going to have to handle those.
There's a rocket into center field off the bat of Dusty Coleman, who had taken over for Brett Wallace at first base.
Well, Dusty Coleman came into camp ready to compete because he has put on some really good at-bats throughout camp. See that line drive coming back up the box, but you take a look at the approach. Simple approach, but short to the baseball, and handling that fastball out of the hands of the left-hander Banda.
Anthony Banda, the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Fifth pitcher of the day for Torey Lovello. Two-out base runner at first. Here's Colin Cowgill getting his fourth at-bat of the day. Throw to first, almost threw it away.
I'll tell you what, Don, a lot of the Diamondbacks and people in the organization are very excited about Anthony Banda, the left-hander on the mound right now. He could factor into, you see the numbers, and pitched very well, 150 innings. Talked to his manager last year, Phil Nevin, and he loves him, loves the stuff, competes. Like I said, could be a factor in their rotation or possibly out of the bullpen this year.
He's not pitched in the major leagues yet. Fourth season in the Diamondbacks organization. Runner goes, pitch swung on a miss, throw down to second base. Close, but it is not in time, at a stolen base. Dusty Coleman stealing second.
Well, Dusty Coleman, let's take a look at the jump at first base. He times the left-hander. The throw is on the shortstop side. They might have put the cans on for this play because you see him slide, and then that front foot comes off.
And the tag was on him.
That's that play. These middle infielders now are leaving the tag on for that purpose.
We saw it so many times last year.
I'd like to see him get rid of that. Honestly, I think that takes a lot of time, and I know they're trying to speed up the game, and there's different rules that are coming out, but I don't think replaying that is as important as getting the first base call or possibly a home run. All of those things. There's too many things that are replayed. Yeah.
Balls and a strike, 2 down here in the 7th inning. Cowgill today has struck out twice and doubled. His double gave the Padres the 2-run lead they currently have. Fouls this one back above us.
Well, Don, I mentioned earlier about Phil Nevin, and for Padre fans, they're going to see a little bit more of Phil Nevin. He's the third base coach for Bruce Bochy's San Francisco Giants. So congratulations to him. He's back in the big leagues. He has passion for it, and a lot of pressure because Bruce Bochy puts a lot of pressure on his third base coach. But it's congratulations to him. It's a great honor, and he's thrilled about the opportunity.
Payoff pitch, and it's in the dirt. Ball 4. So Cowgill walking for the first time today. Headed down to first base. 2 on, 2 down. Luis Torrens coming up here now for the Padres. His first at bat of the day. Has been catching the last 2 innings. Cowgill at first base. Coleman at second. Padres trying to add on to a 6-4 advantage, batting here in the home half of the 7th inning. Fly ball center field. Deeply hit, but handled in center to end things in the 7th. We head for the 8th. Padres on top 6-4. Have the lead over the Diamondbacks. We head to the top of the 8th, and Mark Sweeney's going to read us the new rules.
Oh, I love. Get ready for the eye test, everybody.
Well, I'll do it. I'll do it. Yeah, no pitch, intentional walk. Following a signal by the manager, you no longer have to throw those 4 pitches, which is something.
You like it?
About that. I don't like it.
Okay.
Okay. 30-second limit for managers to decide to challenge a play.
I like it.
I like it a lot. It's going to make it tough because it takes a lot longer than that, Jim.
I like it.
Okay. After manager challenges are exhausted, crew chief may invoke replay review for non-home run calls beginning in the 8th inning instead of the 7th inning. I kind of liked it the way it was. The 7th inning, you know, you get those last 3 innings.
I like it how it was as well.
Okay. 2-minute guideline for replay officials to decide on a replay review.
Really like that.
Yes. Pitcher may not take second step toward home plate. Now this will be interesting, and we'll talk about that too. But or otherwise reset the pivot foot during delivery of a pitch. If runner is on base, then the violation results in a balk. Base coaches must remain in the coach's box until the ball is put in play. That is very interesting because they never are.
Yeah, and I'm not a big believer in that one as well. I think there's different styles that you have, and there's certain things and aspects to the game that base coaches have the ability to do. I don't mind that. I think that rule is kind of a little bit iffy, but I do like the 30-second rule where you have to challenge because there's too much of that waiting, and let's give us an opportunity here.
Popped up foul ground. Coleman heading over by the Padres dugout makes the catch. One down here in the 8th. Look at Kyle McGrath's numbers.
Well, that ERA 0.93, and you look at the delivery, it's unorthodox from the left-hander, and I think the hitters don't really pick up his release point, and it comes into play because he's got a good mix of fastball, changeup, and he also has a breaking ball to go along with it, but low on the walks, heavy on the strikeouts, and left-handed. It's a name to watch.
Socrates Brito standing in and taking a strike.
I see the motion, and it reminds me of a Josh Colmenter for the Diamondbacks from the right side. But he comes with that unorthodox delivery, and I don't think they pick up that rotation. And he has really good arm action on his changeup.
On the ground to shortstop and under the glove. Urias into left field. And reaching here is Brito with 1 out in the 8th inning.
Well, the shortstop going to his right and just doesn't get that ball down. It looked like he wanted to get in position to throw that baseball before he gloved it.
Bob, what do you got on McGrath?
You know, it's interesting. He's got such a unique delivery, and as Mark mentioned, tough to pick the ball up off of him the way he puts his hands up real high like that. But that actually started after his freshman year in college. Didn't have a particularly good season that first year, and he said, I need to try something different. Well, who was the big pitcher at the time? Tim Lincecum. So he actually started to try to fashion himself after the freak, and that's what he came up with. So he was turning his body a little bit more, got the hands up high. So it doesn't exactly look like Tim Lincecum's delivery now, but that was really the genesis of it.
Well, it's pretty interesting from the hitter's perspective. If you're not picking up that release point, you start getting out of the strike zone a lot, but you also freeze on certain pitches. So how a hitter reacts really tells the story of, is there deception in delivery? Is there something that you're not picking the ball up? Or if it's arm action with a good combination of the difference between the fastball velocity versus the changeup velocity. And it looks like he has a good combination of both.
Mark, as a hitter, what was the most difficult thing for you to be able to pick up off of a guy? I mean, obviously, if the guy hides the ball well, but some guys would see certain guys better than others. Was there any one thing for you that you just felt like, geez, just watching this guy, it's going to be tough?
Yeah, I wish it was the art of being able to do that. But when it came down to it, Scan, I think I was so committed to a fastball that the breaking ball and changeup, I think the changeup pitch was really difficult to pick up. If they changed their delivery and their release point on the changeup, I picked it up. If it was out of the same motion, which I say all the time about Trevor Hoffman, that's what made it very difficult for hitters.
So you were hunting the fastball then?
I had to.
Yeah.
My role came into play, but even when I got those spot starts or occasional starts, I hit off the fastball because I felt like I was in a better position to hit the other mistakes. Because I believe that if they throw a good breaking ball or they throw their out pitch, you're going to be out. And I don't care if you're waiting for it, you're looking for it. If you see a fastball and it even has movement that it's in the strike zone, you're able to do something damage. If you don't, you'll be out of the league.
Well, Vargas does some damage here. He drives it on a line down to the left field corner. Guido trying to score from first. Here comes a throw from Urias in left. Will not be in time. And it's a one-run game now, 6-5. The Diamondbacks making some noise here in the 8th. This time Vargas with an RBI double.
Oh, here's the swing, the leg kick, which is in fashion in baseball, but you see that high release and inside that left field line. Brito rounding the bases and scoring easily with that ball driven into the corner in left field.
So Vargas at second base representing the tying run. Oswaldo Arcia now standing in. Stops in Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Miami, and San Diego last year. He was busy.
Looking for a home. Frequent flyer miles.
Arcia last year, as far as the Padres go, 14 games in San Diego. Hit 116 for the Padres. 43 at-bats in a Padres uniform a year ago. Most of his major league time. 4 seasons with the Minnesota Twins. Fly ball headed out towards right field. And Cowgill able to make the catch out there and right and fire to third base on a hop. Showing off a pretty good arm there. No advance at second base for Vargas. 2 down.
Well, you gotta love that. Cowgill playing behind the baseball. Priority number 1 is to catch it, but when you have a guy tagging, getting behind the baseball and launching it into third base and keeping that runner there is very important.
Christopher Negron coming up here with 2 outs and Vargas at second base. Cosart, Jenkins, Hessler, Stammen, Bethancourt, Kelly, and McGrath have all worked in this game today for Andy Green. Now, Padres holding on to a 1-run advantage here in the top of the 8th inning. Pickoff play at second, no throw, but a dive back to the bag by Vargas. Rondon cheating in from second base.
Well, that infielder commits to that pickoff. You have to step off for a pitcher. You don't want to be hurt defensively, especially in a 1-run game.
McGrath giving him back-to-back hits to Brito and Vargas in this inning, leading to the Diamondbacks' run. Now step off again with Rondon cheating in at second base. Padres holding on to a 1-run advantage. Tight run in scoring position for the Diamondbacks. Looked like a pretty good pitch.
It did. I'll set up on the outside part of the plate. Just leaks in a little bit.
Swinging 3-0 and popping it up in foul ground. Torrens will watch that get back into the seats. Negron batting in the spot of Tomas, who had been 0 for 4 in this game today. Diamondbacks had leads of 3-0 and 4-2. Padres led 6-4. It's now 6-5. And a fly ball to left field. Nick Buss is there to make the catch and end the inning. Diamondbacks get a run to get a little closer at 6-5 Padres. 5. Padres holding on to a 1-run advantage as we head to the last half of the 8th. Anthony Banda back on the mound again for the Diamondbacks. Pitching the 7th, back out there for the 8th. Luis Urias leading it off for the Padres in the bottom of the 8th inning. Trying to obtain some insurance here in the 8th.
Well, our next broadcast, we're going to see Luis Urias on the WBC Mexico team. He's very excited about that. Can't wait. So tomorrow he leaves for that team, which is training here. He'll be on Fox Sports San Diego on Tuesday.
Are you back here in the big chair again?
I am.
Awesome. That'll miss, and it's now 3-0. There's a strike. 3-1. Battling back is Banda. Diamondbacks have left 11 men on base. Padres have left 7 on in this 1-run contest. Swing and a miss. Off balance, and Urias strikes out. And ahead in the count, but Banda did not panic. Comes back and gets him.
He worked all the way back and throws the 3-2 changeup to get Urias.
Second strikeout for Banda since coming in. Here's Nick Buss, who took over in left field. 87 games last year at AAA Salt Lake.
Nick Buss came up in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, worked his way into a couple other organizations, now finds his opportunity with the San Diego Padres.
Resides in Costa Mesa in the offseason and grounds one right side. Second out of the 8th inning. I mentioned we will be seeing Mexico next. WBC team will be here in our next telecast on Fox Sports San Diego, followed by the Angels on Friday, Milwaukee Saturday, Cleveland on Sunday, and then on Monday, March the 13th, will be the Chicago Cubs. Next 5 telecast. How many are you doing of these?
I'm doing 5. No, not of those.
Oh, the ones who are coming up there.
I'm not sure, but it was good to see on that schedule. You're seeing the World Series teams. Cleveland,
yes, you are. Back to back, right?
Who I think have bolstered their club.
Yep. Grounder to second base off the bat of Franchi Cordero, and he is retired. So Banda has a quick and easy 1-2-3-8 at 6-5 Padres.
Switch to CenturyLink and get up to 40 megs of high-speed internet for just $20.
It's been a great day to be out there on the berm area here, left center, right center at Peoria Sports Complex. They're trying to nail it down here for the Padres. Jose Torres into the game.
We saw the left-hander at the end of the year after a successful minor league season. For Torres, they would like to have him pitch down in the strike zone early, obviously inducing some ground balls, early outs, or possibly some early strikes to elevate that fastball. Has a changeup to go along with it. But the slider has been improving as well. You see so many left-handers have that fastball-slider combination. Saw some really good things from Torres at the end of the year.
The major league experience was with the Padres in those 4 games end of last year, so he was at 4 different classifications last year. Don't see that every day.
No.
Lake Elsinore, San Antonio, El Paso, and San Diego, part of his 2016 season. 23-year-old Jeremy Hazelbaker will lead it off here for the Diamondbacks. His second plate appearance, walked in the 7th inning. Kind of buckled him for strike 1. Check swing. Did he go? They check. No, he did not.
Well, there's the improved slider right there. Most lefties want to throw that slider on the outside part of the plate. Ooh, that looked really close.
I thought he went. Swing and a miss. Headed down and in.
Yeah, two-seam action on this fastball, and you can see it working down early in the count. Let's see if he elevates or goes back to that slider.
Swing and a miss. Briefly away from Torrens. He's got to fire down to first base and does. So Hazelbaker strikes out. 1 down in the 9th. Jack Reinheimer coming up here now for the Diamondbacks with 1 out. His first plate appearance of the game. Tel Marte had been in there for 4 plate appearances and on base 3 times. Jose Torres from Venezuela came over from the Oakland A's with Drew Pomerantz under Alonso deal. Mark Zepchinski. Foul back, 1-2. Cosart started this game for the Padres. Went 1 inning in his return. First outing of the year for Cosart of the spring. 1 shutout inning for him. Flared foul off to the right. Dusty Coleman gives it a look, but it's back into the seats. Green 2 outs away from a win here today against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Perhaps more importantly, another healthy day so far. Camp has been pretty light as far as injuries go, and that's the biggest concern you have.
That's what it really comes down to. Day by day, who's healthy, who's staying healthy, who can we keep on the field, but also just getting your work in. It's a mentality that's very difficult to handle, but that's from a manager's standpoint and also the front office, keeping these guys healthy and on the field.
Swing and a miss. Reinheimer strikes out, and Torres back-to-back Ks here in the ninth.
Well, aggressive with the fastball in this at-bat. And finishing him off with that upper 90s fastball.
2 down here in the ninth inning, and it brings up Jason Pride. Outfield set up straight away.
I gotta say, this is my first look of Torrens, the Rule 5 catcher, and he's been impressive behind the plate.
See why they're
Receiving
high
the
on him.
balls. Yeah. Justin Hatcher said he's going to go down to a knee to try to get that lower pitch, which is a priority.
Righty lifts it down the left field line, falling fast and foul.
He looks comfortable back there. You think about the learning curve, the guy that's played single-A baseball, and that's it. Trying to make the roster as a Rule 5 draft pick, and possibly being the third catcher on this roster. He showed well today.
Nothing above A ball for him in his career. Same could have been said last year for Luis Perdomo, another Rule 5 guy. Grounded back up the middle and ranging the shortstop. Urias spins and throws, and that'll end the ball game. Nice play by Urias to end the ball game. And the Padres hold on to beat the Diamondbacks 6-5. Step aside and get back with more after this.
The very second